lesson the first time.
Just leave me the fuck alone.
Let's go for a drive.
No, fuck that.
Oh, come on. Just one drive.
Aight.
Give it.
Somewhere deep in my mind, I light a cigarette. With the bright idea from the cigarette I laid again. Ash it on the carpet, tell it burn a hole again. My empty soul that I know I'll never see again. Somewhere deep in the night, the sky is trickling. Teardrops from the cloudy light, you let me cripple then. Wash it down with whiskey and another Ritalin. Till I finally feel like I'm alive again. Now I'm floating down the highway, crazy going 105. Lucky me, no lucky you, you're lucky that I'm still alive. Pedal to the metal, cause the rose petals are settled to the bottom of the sun. Underneath the narrows where they nestle late at night. I pay the price of fucked up lovers in the skies who will never come to closure cause it's buried in goodbyes. Locked down deeper than the tunnel bond that we could never hide. So I guess I'll put the hand up on the clock this time. When the clock strikes 12, I'm whipping through the city to raise some hell. Another late night, don't post bail. I swear I didn't push it, she just fell. When the clock strikes 12, I'm whipping through the city to raise some hell. Another late night, don't post bail. I swear I didn't push him, he just fell.
Right off the overpass and head first to the freeway. One way ticket to the pavement, that's where he lay. Blood splatter, but I'd rather watch a blood spray. It don't matter, but I'm glad that's where he said. If someone gon' kill you, by then I know the drugs will. I've been hoping the worst for you, Jason, yeah, my mind ill. I've been throwing these verses up, but at least I die real. You been lying and dying and still gon' pop a pill.
So pop, 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 till you had enough. Take another one, maybe I just top it up. Mix it with a little whiskey till you sober up. You will never ever beat me, try to focus up. Yeah, pop, 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 let the gun go off. Paint another masterpiece so I can show it off. Yeah, I'll put you on the stage like my other props. Just remember Scott, tick tock, watch the clock. When the clock strikes 12, I'm whipping through the city to raise some hell. Another late night, don't post bail. I swear I didn't push her, she just fell. When the clock strikes 12, I'm whipping through the city to raise some hell. Another late night, don't post bail. I swear I didn't push him, he just fell.
Do you feel better now, Diggy? Do you? Do you?
No, not yet.
Okay.
See, this whole industry has got me fucked up. Tough luck, they bite the hand that feeds them, then they want what the dick suck. For doing absolutely nothing but fuck up. It's yada 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 till you ever hit a blow up. Every label ride my dick cause they just wanna profit. Every label like your shit until they see you drop it. Every label quick to sign just to grow the big design. Take all of your money like they might as well have lost it. I don't do this shit for payment, I do it for therapy. Lock myself up in a basement just to find some clarity. Running out of time on top momentarily. I guess the clock and I share some similarities. When the clock strikes 12, I'm looking through the city to raise some hell. Another late night, don't post bail. I swear I didn't push him, he just fell.
I don't give up, I don't give up, I don't give up.
I don't give a fuck! Can I get the moment it's hot for the 50 people that just wanna kill him off?
They wander round aimlessly, looking for some sort of solution for their problems. They see me and proceed to aim down the sight. In the end, they learned a valuable lesson. If you keep shoving an animal into a cage, one of these days, it's going to fight back.
I'm sorry, what was that? I got fired from my job at the keyboard. I wasn't putting in enough shifts. Well, see, it's a good thing you weren't overworking, because then you would have been taking too many shifts. Still would have gotten fired. Cheers. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Ooh, okay. Let's get some lo-fi and chill up in here. What is up, everybody? Hi, Gene. Guess what happened again? What happened? Did your stream die? So sad to hear that. I just dyed my hair black. Nice! I bet it looks fantastic. I hope it looks great and amazing. Selena! Hello, Selena. How are you doing? We're gonna move that and boop. 7 Raiders, no winner this time. Nice try, though. We need to figure out a better place to put this. Maybe here? This is the raid. Put the stream in the back. Oh, okay. Okay, you can have the stream. Here it is. Take it. Sorry, I forgot my Be Right Back screen mutes. Hi, yes, Sundays when we're doing the thing. Anyways, hi, how was stream? I didn't think I'd stream so long to the point you were live again. Well, today's stream is early because we have an event stream today. That's right. Everybody know about the event? Anybody submit for the event? I'm not still muted. Fight me. You better not try to trick me. Stop saying muted. Stop. I will leave. I'll just end stream. I will cancel. We're canceling stream. Stream's over. Stream's over, guys. No more streams. Just kidding. Okay. Too bad. No. But what we are going to do real quick is this. You ready? You ready? Boop. You can do exclamation point ticket 1 or 1 enter, and it'll let you enter the giveaway. You can just do exclamation point enter. That will also let you enter. Just to show you how it all works. Boop, and we now have 1 entry. Nice. We have 4 entries. Okay, we will be giving away copies of Date Everything. We'll be giving away 2 copies of Date Everything. So we'll be doing probably a giveaway near the end of the stream. You do not have to be here for the giveaway, just a heads up. Just, follow me on at least Twitter or something. Yeah. Or I'll be here on the stream. So next stream, if you aren't here by the end of stream, I'll announce it next stream. And you can contact me wherever. We'll figure out how to get you the game. Okay? Okay. Feel free to enter. Anybody can enter. Oh, you're fine. If you get chosen, then wait. Let's see. And you've been refunded. Oh, I just refunded everybody. Everybody re-enter. Everybody re-enter. That should do it. Okay. Did I break it? Perfect. Okay, it looks like we do have 7 tickets purchased. This should be fine. We'll see. We're doing 2 giveaways anyways, so if you're here at the end of stream, we'll be doing another giveaway then. So it is fine. It does say that there's 8 tickets purchased and 8 entrances, so we're good. Yes. If you'd like to win the game, Date Everything, you can hit exclamation point enter. And you have a chance of winning later on. I will actually finish the giveaway later, okay? So, all right, lovely people. How's everybody doing today? Too many tickets? What do you mean too many tickets? Oh, you're only allowed 1 ticket. So if you do exclamation point enter and it says you have too many tickets, then you're fine. Okay, good. You are in it if it says failed to enter. Perfect. We're good. We are good. Yes. No worries. If it says you failed, you're already in it. And it's a free entry. Okay, so, hello. Yes, how's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Everybody doing good? How's your day been? What have you been up to? Silas, I know what you've been up to. Amdis, how have you been? I still don't know if I'm saying your name right, but I'm assuming it's Amdis. Or Amdis? Amdis? Also, let's do a little bit of some work here. Thank you for the stretch. Thank you for the hydrate. Thank you for the kiss. Hi, Blinky. Mwah. Thank you for getting first Keeper, second Moreau, and third Vanya. Well, that tongue do mostly just this. That's all it really does. Your female design. Oh, nice. I believe in you, Galaxy. Hi, Maple. How you doing, Maple? I don't have my water. That's fine. We have Jen. I can hydrate with Jen, right? Jen's hydrating. Feel threatened. Oh, I'm glad you can see now, Echo. All right, so Amdis. Okay, good. With a pair of Caesars. Yeah, I like that. So the entry, we have had a bunch of entrants. I went through them yesterday, and I went through every entrant and figured out what furniture I think fits them best. From electronics, furniture, various items. And so, based off of your model, this is what I think of your thing. Oh, shit. I need to do 2 more things, chat. God. Being a streamer is just so hard, you know? It's so hard. I have so much work to do, and I just, I gotta go over here. I gotta go to my channel and actually pull up my channel. Oh, fuck, that's so loud. Actually pull up my channel. There we are. That way I can copy the timestamp and do everything, okay? Sweet. Sweet. Pants off yet? Who's wearing pants? I mean, what? What? Chat, that's crazy. You should be wearing pants. Chat, if you're not wearing pants, what's that say about you and me? And me and you and me. Oh. You better be wearing pants, chat. You better be wearing pants. I'm just saying. Okay? And where is it? Where did I put my window capture? Window capture. Do. We're gonna do... Shoot. Biek. Uh-huh. Haha, got it. I did it, chat. Yay! Sweet. All right, everybody can see it. Everything's good here. We'll put it like that. We'll put me to the side here a little bit. Chat, I am so professional. I am so ready for everything. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know how ready I am. Pants are optional for special events. It is! You're right. 31 seeing them in bed. Fuck pants. Fair. Okay, you know what? If you're in bed and you're not on camera, you're allowed not to wear pants. By the way, we're making a new overlay, by the way. Be a professional. Be a professional. All right. Are we ready? Music good? Music not too overpowering? Overlay these? Overlay yourself, motherfucker. Sweet. Okay. Here we go. Boop. So hello everybody, we are doing the Day Everything event. I've run through a bunch of VTubers and talked about what kind of furniture they would be. We're starting here with the lovely Church. I mean, look at Church. Look how fantastic they look. Did you know the other day I actually went through my Twitch statistics and they're like, here's your famous viewers. Oh shit. Here's your famous followers. And apparently Church is classified as a famous follower. So Church, if you didn't know that you're famous, there you go. You're a big famous VTuber. Now I'm looking at these elements. I mean, we have this lovely big black dress with the white on it. It gives very, very elegant vibes, as well as the green. These kind of like combination of opulence and stuff I was imagining. Bam. Gorgeous dresser. Look at that thing. I mean, maybe not with the Jesus iconography here. But like all of this, like super ornate, big, larger than life, could crush you if it fell on you. Not saying that church could, but like this is church in a nutshell here. Beautiful, gorgeous, elegant, so well styled, big ass cabinets, stylish. I mean, you can disagree with me if you want. You can disagree with me if you want, but I think it is fantastic. And now, I mean, I'd want to do like a bit of a different color scheme with the cabinet. You know, if we could incorporate some of the purple here with some of the black and more of the green to actually get this more styled. But hey, how it is. How you doing? Thank you for the follow. If it could just be a little bit more bringing in the color scheme, it'd be perfect. But I think church would be fantastic. Big ass dresser cabinet. And the question is, would I date them? 100%. I mean, look at the model, look at the furniture. That is reliable, that is strong, that is gorgeous, that is amazing. Amazing in so many ways. Did I put the time on here? Yes, I did. Feels accurate? Perfect, thank you. How you doing, who I shoppy, or who is hoppy? Hoopy, how you doing? Next, we have a lovely, lovely lemon, and I believe they are a lemon fish. I believe they are a lemon fish, not a lemon shark. A princely character. I still don't know how to say their name. Akuji. Akuji has this very princely outfit, like this noble attire, not so like old medieval style, but still having a lot of this kind of like Renaissanceian flair. You know, the big puffy pants, the yellows, the whole color theme is amazing. Is very regal, is very stylish. Love the character, love it so very much, and that's why this bath in particular is them. Like not just any bath, but specifically a spa bath, a bath filled with little lemons, with a little tray going over top, with like all these little green elements around them. Like they have this feeling of life about them. Of course, lemons instead of limes. They could also be a lemon tree, but I feel like that'd be too on the nose. But specifically this bath, blue water, all of that. I think also if you're going more with the regal idea, you could have a bath like this on the right side. Has the foots, the copper, the very large kind of styling. I think it'd fit their vibe very well. My one concern would be, you know, like the sizing. They're very slender while baths are large. But if we go off of date everything, that doesn't matter. Because not every big furniture is a big person. Oh, 1 second. I can pull up OBS into Twitch chat as well. Hope, but my friends call me Hopi, but I'm doing good. Awesome drawings. Thank you. These are all VTubers who have submitted their designs for this, and I'm comparing them to furniture. Would I date them? Of course I would. Of course I would. I mean, look how stylish, look how fancy, and thank you for the kiss. Mwah! But Akuji is gorgeous. Their model is gorgeous. The design, fantastic. It is just so well done. So of course the nicest bath. Next up, as the furnitures go, which I'm hoping we don't go through these too quickly. I'm trying to slow it down, but I'm kind of excited to go through all of these. I spent so much time looking at everybody's models, everybody breaking down what I think their character is and why I like this about their character. Killian. Let me grab the time here. Time stamped. Now, for those of you who don't know, Killian is a dinosaur, or has a dinosaur-themed things. They are an artist. They do fantastic art, but this look right here gives that really like dark kind of e-boy vibe. The very messy, the very grunge styling here, and this is a tattoo gun. I imagine you'd find this tattoo gun, and not just like any tattoo gun, either like one of those that you get off of Amazon, where it has this kind of like this raw styling, or one of these more like older style tattoo guns, where it's more like open. Because a lot of the tattoo guns you see these days have this black solid handle, okay? And they're like one thick rod. I mean, they look pretty much like a sexual aid. But then you have this style where everything's more open, a bit more raw. That gives me more of Killian's vibe here, especially with the tattoos. So, Killian, I think you would make a fantastic tattoo gun. A person to mark up the NPC, or not the NPC, sorry, the PC, the player character. The tattoo gun I have now is a tattoo pen. That's so cool. But you would give such artistic stylings in the game. I think it'd be great. I think it would be great just to have you in the game. And would I date you? Of course I would. I'd date anybody. But Killian, I think with the styling, the look, the vibe, the edginess, and the kind of the cool attitude, perfect. Perfect for a tattoo gun. Not saying you're an edgy person, but you know, the styling most definitely is. Next up, I don't know if Ray's here. Ray, are you here? I don't think Ray is here. Oh, wait. Where'd Ray go? No, I lost Ray! 1 second, chat. 1 second, chat. I need to take this off. Give me a second. Chat, close your eyes. I'm gonna hide my window for a second. I lost Ray. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. 1 sec. Boop. Okay. We have Ray. And we're gonna pull it up right now. In 3, 2, 1. Ray! There's Ray. Now, Ray had a bunch of images. Hello. You'd probably be a bottle of Henny? That's very possible. Very possible. But yes, Ray has this very, like, icy, almost aquatic theme about them, but they also have what's most important. Fucking muscles. I mean, the strength, the shape, the whole everything is so lovely. The character is very, I'm doing great, is very like rough, but also I think they have a lot of like clean cut edges. Like the styling here is not loose, and so I imagine this with the the collars, the fur being more of like fluff since it's this wool, and so it kind of represents the bubbling of water, and you have the strength and the stark kind of feeling to it. So for me, it's a rainfall shower, specifically a rainfall shower, like a really modern looking one that has this strength about it, you know, the starkness about it. Clean, but still rough. With like the stone wall and everything, you have a whole mix of textures and feelings here that I think would really match well with them. Being in and out, that's okay, Moxie. But yes, a rainfall shower, I think really fits it. Though I don't know if they're ice or water themed. If they were ice themed, we would change it a bit. But this, I feel, is more water themed, and thus... shower. I water? Yes! Perfect! Yes. And yes, of course I would date Ray. Of course I would date Ray. If they were in that game, this would be one of my go-tos. This would be the one that kind of makes me stutter a little bit, being like, damn. A bougie shower. But a clean, nice, modern boot shower. Notice there's not even glass walls around this. Like, this one fully relies on the water landing properly. It's not going to, but it does. You did? Well, if I do get to you, if you've already submitted yourself, then I will see you there. Next we have Vanya. Vanya, sweetie. You, I believe, are next. Let me make sure. Yes, Vanya! Now, Vanya is a raccoon, is a lovely, lovely raccoon who lives on the moon. That part of the lore is very important. I've also talked to Vanya, and they talked about their model kind of transitioning with the phases of the moon. And so, of course, initially I was like, raccoon trash. But no, I think a trash is an easy way out with this. And so we have a tarnished mirror that looks like the moon. That has this not trash like a trash can, but this tarnished mirror that kind of looks like the moon. And that, like, as the days would change, the tarnishing would adjust to change with the phases of the moon, right? And thus you could have, like, this kind of, like, slowly changing thing that, like, you don't really realize is supposed to be the moon until you really pay attention to it. And that's what I think Vanya would be, you know? Has this changing shape, has this very clean-cut look, but also, like, the dirtiness to it, which also fits really, really well. How be you and Stream's going amazing. Be really good with their character. Yeah. I think that'd be absolutely lovely. And of course, yes, of course I'd date Vanya. Who wouldn't date Vanya? Vanya had some other models as well that was more, like, energetic, but I think this was just really cute, and it works so well with the look. All right. Next we have Airy, I believe. Let me make sure. Airy! Ah, love Airy, love Airy. Now, those of you who don't know, Airy is a little sucky barista. They're mini, they're tiny little succubus who does cooking, baking, and all sorts of stuff, like making the cakes, making the coffee. And so I know when they sent theirs, they're like, oh, I know what I'm gonna be, and they thought they're gonna be a coffee machine, but no, coffee machine is too easy, and it has too much of a modern look. Airy, for a lot of their models, has this kind of retro styling, you know, with like the neck scarf and this is like big dress, has this look about them that is very sucky barista. I don't think that's the official term. Actually, no, it is. They are the local sucky barista. It has this really retro styling to them. They have some other ones that it doesn't, but their primary model is this retro styling. And so in my head, I was looking at a lot of retro cookware. And so I had two options to go with. Two options. We have the number one, is the bottom left, is a retro mini waffle maker that makes little heart-shaped waffles. You know, has the retro styling, very cute, very, very, like, simple, and has that, like, kind of nice look. So it's more of the barista-y vibes. Unlike, like, with, like, some of the bigger cookware, you know, you take a lot more time to do things. Cafe stylings, I think a waffle maker is perfect. On the other hand, we have this, the all-in-one. Now, I don't know if this ever actually existed in the past, but it had the word nostalgia, and by the way, they are thick. Had the word nostalgia in it, and so I was like, oh, hey, Fifi, how you doing, Fifi? And so for my brain went, since it's nostalgia, this works perfectly. I mean, it has all these quick cooking options, which really fits that kind of dinery vibe. Has this nice, like pinkish aesthetic, which I think fits them, very retro-y styling. And so yes, they're either the all-in-one breakfast cooking setup or the pink lovely waffle maker. By the way, chat, definitely go follow Fifi. They're very hot. Not saying that you should follow them because they're hot, but if that's what you're into. But yes. Airy. Anyone disagree? Anyone think that's wrong? Did I do a good evaluation of Airy here? Oh no, I'm going through these so fast. I have... I should have promoted the event longer, but you do not know how much time I spent on this yesterday. I just went through every single one of these models. I took a look at them. I tried to compare them, like understand the aesthetic, and then had to actually go find pictures that fit. I need to start simping more. I'm sorry. I'll simp harder, okay? Next, we have the lovely King of Toasters. King of Toasters. I don't know why we have so many regal VTubers out there. I love how kind of like powerful so many of them are, and they're just so unique designs. King of Toasters here, definitely being one of them. Very cyborg, very, very royal, very, very intense. And I know. Oh, Gene was looking at a picture? What picture was I looking at? Give me a second. picture of us. He's a free. I know. King of Toasters immediately thinking, well, he's just going to make me a toaster, right? But a toaster is lazy. A toaster is lazy. That's like me going to Silas and being like, yeah, Silas, I think the kind of character you should be is an incubus. Or I should be whatever animal I am. Don't worry about it. And I don't like lazy. And so I spend some time looking at toaster-themed things. Because, yes, he has to be a toaster. But he's not just any toaster. One of two things. The bottom one is not a toaster. You might look at it and be like, that's a toaster. That's totally a toaster. It's not. It's not a toaster. It is a sculpture. It is a sculpture of a toaster. It is unfunctioning. There is no function to this toaster. It just has a neon tube in there to make it think that it's toaster. And because he's regal, I want it to be expensive. That's like $500, $600 there. And I love the idea of him being in the kitchen next to a normal toaster and it not functioning. And him being upset that he's not a functioning toaster when he is the king of toasters. Right? Right? Would be amazing. And yes, of course I did the king of toasters. But the one on top is a toaster. But it's not any toaster. That is a $400 Japanese toaster that cooks one slice of toast per cycle. And it cooks the toast. It bakes the toast. It has like some super well done electronic stuff with it. That I didn't look into all the features. But it is a super, super expensive toaster. And it's not a toaster oven. It is a toaster. It only toasts one slice, and it only makes the toast toast. So it's not an oven. It only does bread. And I was watching a podcast on it, like people were discussing this toaster, and what they're bringing up is the fact that in Japan, for the longest time, in a lot of Asian countries, rice was the primary breakfast thing. You'd have like rice porridge, you just have rice with your meals. And so rice was the thing. And that's why they had rice cookers. They had very specific devices for making rice. Nice devices. Over years, they got cheaper, but like they put some effort into their rice makers and their rice cookers because that was the primary food. Well, over the years, toast has become more of a prevalent thing in Japan and some Asian countries. Thank you for the redeem. And so they started making these toast makers to be like the ideal kind of rice cooker of toast, so that they make this more and more pristine toast because, if you're going to be having it every single day, you want to have the best bit of food, right? And so they made these expensive, fancy toasters that do an incredible job. I mean, look how beautiful that piece of bread looks. Look how beautiful it looks. It's gorgeous. So yes, King of Toasters is either a toaster that doesn't work or the most expensive toaster I could find. You'd fuck a piece of toast? I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would. I don't know how long I just went on about the theory behind this toaster. But it's cool. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I said ara. I went ara. I said thank you for the redeem drink. 5 minutes? Only 5 minutes. Jeez. I need to talk slower. I'm so sorry, chat. Well, we'll move on to the next one. But anybody disagree? Does anybody have any better ideas for the toaster? No? Good. Next, we have the lovely Keeper of Fate. Let me put the timestamp on Keeper. Now, for those of you who don't know, I know Keeper personally. Hello, Keeper. And Keeper is a will-o'-the-wisp spirit, which, hey, we wrote the lore together. Don't call it out yet. I should have made the screen of Keeper first and then switched over to it next. I have learned. But yes, Keeper is a will-o'-the-wisp spirit. And is related to cherry blossom trees. There's some deeper lore. You can go reach out to Keeper if you want to find the lore. And the lore is very, very nice. But I had to think of like something that's going to incorporate that, and I didn't want to go lazy with it. I could have gone very, you know, Japanese theme because of cherry blossoms. I could have gone all sorts of routes that would just feel like cop-outs and lazy. But I wanted to look into more some spiritual things, some things that have more stuff, and wind chimes have been used in like spiritual ways of either keeping spirits away, about keeping bad things away through sound or bringing good energies in. And so that's what I looked for. And I wanted to find some lovely, simple wind chimes, because most of them are like big, harsh metal, or they're kitschy and they have like shells and stuff. So I did find these two. One is on Etsy. One of them is a random thing from Google Images. But I think, like, especially with these, the color matching, if we could get more of the pinks in there. Hello, Ada. Ari. And then this one on the left, which is a Japanese wind chime, has a lot more of the same kind of, like, ghosty feel, you know? So yes, I think it has that. It has a connection with the spirit, has a connection really with like the color scheme, this lightness about it. It has like a really like I imagine a wind chime fluttering in the breeze is very much like the petals of a cherry blossom tree. It kind of evokes the same imagery of just things scattered in the wind. So, chime, wind chime. You would be a wind chime hanging on the porch or hanging in a window. Maybe you're hanging inside and you want to go out because you can't really get the proper breeze. And of course, yes, I would date you as well. Do you disagree, Keeper? Do you think that was a bad explanation, a bad understanding of this? No, you love that? Good. That's okay, Moxie. You have a good one, okay? All right. Next we have... I've got to make sure I put the right person here. Thank you for the lurk. Boop. Nova! With them big old titties. I mean like damn. Damn, girl. Damn. And tan lines? Tan lines. So hot. I mean, I know this is not like the let's simp for Nova for a little bit, but holy shit. Holy shit. By the way, go check out Nova, fantastic streamer. I love watching them. They are Germans, they are very cool. And I currently run a D&D game for them. So I even talked to Nova about this before. They are Nova Lux. They are a not cyber. They're a space dog. They're a space dog. We're staring at Nova here. They are a space dog. But Nova Lux is a mix between, you know, the space aspect and the light, space puppy, sorry, and the light aspects. And so they had mentioned, oh, I'd be a flashlight. And no, we're not doing flashlight. Flashlight's lazy. What we are doing is something that's a bit larger, something that's a bit more iconic. Because Nova has some iconic vibes about them, especially, you know, with the iconic assets. And so I like the idea of a retro-styled, especially like one with the stuff on it, a retro-style vanity with the ring of lights. We can bring in the aspects of the Lux here. We can bring in this kind of like, I mean, not saying vain, but very, very over the top kind of like look of the character. And I think that mixes the two aspects pretty well of like her character, her look, as well as just like the name. And of course, you know, we could take the color scheme, pinks, yellows, and move it into something like this one on the left. But I want a bigger, hi Juno, how you doing? Gino, I want a bigger vanity. Now these aren't perfect. These are not perfect. Don't get me wrong. See myself? Exactly. Like, I like this one on the right, but I want more. Thank you for the follow. I thought you were already following. Or is this a different Gino? I want more than this, but this was the best vanities that I could find, especially with like this elegant kind of person in front of it. So vanity that was used in an elegant way has this look. Perfect for Nova, I believe. Nova, do you disagree? And yes, I would obviously date Nova, especially as a vanity. I don't know where it would fit in the house, but I believe that would work well. Different Gino? Yes. We've had somebody else named Gino before. Mm-hmm. I did timestamp you. Perfect. And like, especially like, the seat is really important for the vanity. Like, I think what would be nice if you have like a mismatched seat with the vanity, because I would have kind of a part in the story of the character being like, they used to have this compatriot, the chair, that used to like match with the vanity, but over the years the chair got replaced, and so now the vanity is unhappy, and they have an unhappy partnership with a modern chair versus their more over the top aesthetic. Next, we have the lovely Control Pink. They do most of my emotes. Go check them out. Not most of my emotes, but most of my most recent emotes. Now, Pink is a glitch. Is a program on a PC that is glitching, and that's why they have this kind of aesthetic here, right? Dog, still a dog, but they have this very like glitchy, colorful aesthetic. Not kind of retro-y. I don't know exactly what the proper term for this aesthetic would be, but this mixture of kind of, you know, art, the colors, the glitchiness, made me think of two things. Now, face value, we want to go really easy with this one. Drawing tablet. I mean, they're an artist, they draw. Kind of lazy, but it works. You know, we'll get the right color scheme going. It matches who they are as a person. But as the character, I like the idea of a off-brand gaming device, like an off-brand handheld of one of these that you like find on not like Temu, but like a nicer off-brand handheld, the ones that actually work, where they have games that were made, maybe a company that made one console and then went out of business, right? By the way, if you type !enter, you can join the giveaway. And not, I don't want something that's too retro, but I want it to have retro games on it. So it's glitchy, it's janky, but it's fun to play with. You'd give it a couple hours, and whenever you stumble upon it again, you'd pick it up and you'd start playing with it again, and then you'd put it back away, that kind of thing. And so I like the idea of, you know, finding them in a like desk drawer or a cabinet drawer, pulling it out and being like, oh yeah, I remember this. I thought it was blah, 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 but it turned out to be something else, and I'm amazed it even functions. And so I think yeah, them as a off-brand or solo kind of project thingy, or one of those fake consoles that exists in TV shows, you know, like the Game Sphere from Drake and Josh. Specifically, if they were a movie prop game console, that would work even better, because then you kind of get this kind of jankiness, the glitchiness with them. But yeah, either art tablet, game console, the Soldier Game Boy. Oh, that was the worst. I can't believe he legitimately tried to sell that. That was so bad. But yes. And Pink, love you when you watch this later. It's just, you have a great character, a great aesthetic, and it is fantastic. And would I date Pink? Obviously I date Pink. They are sweet, they're adorable. They are so wonderful. Oh no, somebody removed one of their posts, I think. That's too bad. Well, we're gonna do this, and this, and this. We're gonna move on to the next one. Pinky! Pinky. Look how cute Pinky is, with all the frog aesthetic. They are a frog. They are, I believe it's cafe. I believe they have more of a cafe vibe, but with like this white, this pink, they're very aesthetic. I like the idea of them being a candy dispenser, and not just like any candy dispenser, like a candy dispenser that's not used for candy. You know, one of those things that were Vanya and Pinky are friends. One of these kind of dispensers that's used for something it's not supposed to be, like cotton balls or like medicine, what's the word I'm looking for? Pills, medication. One of those that's like in like a girly's house, you know? Well, they're like, look at me and my antidepressant. I mean, like, first off, I think like the dress styling here goes really well with like the flaring out of the candy dispenser. I think we could get some more elements with like the white and could get some more frog aesthetics going in here. But I just think this matches really, really well with the whole look. And what you fill it with could really change based on it. Frog gumdrops, exactly. Like something interesting. I wanted to find something that looked a little bit more unique, but it's really hard to find actual candy dispensers that are unique looking, that you can purchase. This is purchasable, by the way. So not this one exactly, but yeah, giving out stuff that is needed, a very kind looking machine. Lovely. Would I date Pinky? Obviously. I mean, look there, look at the aesthetic. Gorgeous, cute, fantastic. You'd purchase Pinky? Exactly. Who wouldn't want to purchase Pinky, right? Pinky's wonderful. And next we have, I want to see who's next. Oh. Whoever deleted their post, I don't know who they are. Music Lover. Now, I don't know much about Music Lover here. I do not know much about Music Lover as a character, their concept, but the aesthetic, lovely. It's dark. It's kind of, I mean, it's energetic. Gives me almost like, well, you know, musician vibes, obviously, with the piercings, and I love this mesh kind of top here. I wanted to mix both like the music elements and the aesthetic here, and I think the best thing for that would be something like a smart speaker, you know? So you have the mesh that would translate directly to the grid here of the front of it. Plays music, obviously. And you could have it be either one that's like off-brand that more fits whatever genre of music that they're going for. I don't know what genre that is. Or it could just be a speaker that gets pissed off at you for playing music it doesn't like. But yes, if we could get some of the coloring aspects into this, I think the styling matches with theirs because it's very more simple, but it's still very appealing. As is a modern smart speaker. I've thought about like toying with the idea of a like one of the older speakers or like a sound system itself, but those are really like either old or big or too much going on. And with this more simpler, sleeker design of like the mesh, the I'm assuming vinyl, the denim or whatever their pants are made out of, something simpler is going to fit them a lot better. Yeah? Anyone disagree? And an instrument, I don't think would really fit either. Instruments feel kind of lazy to me with this because you're just like, oh, music, instrument. This feels more like it can actually match what that character could become. But yes, no? Any disagreements? I'll take that as a no. I eat them? Don't eat them. Don't eat them. I feel like I didn't spend long enough talking about them, but I mean, like, it's... I figured it out so well. And I think they'll also... Like, if we could get one that's a little bit... Hi! How you doing, Sleepy Wolf? If we could get these just to be a little bit more like have more like buttons on it, it would match their jewelry a lot better. Then you can have that combination, you know, that would also match their aesthetic while also getting the little silvery bits. But welcome, Sleepy Wolf. I hope you enjoy your time here. Next, Cozy Yodi. Cozy Yodi. Cozy Yodi was easy. Cozy Yodi was easy. I mean, just I love the character first off. I love this character. I think they have other models. But this one here has it's clearly farming, growing. But to me it doesn't yell. No. They are a coyote. Cozy Yodi. To me this doesn't yell farmer. This yells like smaller gardener vibes, you know? Like not like tiny little front of the thing farming vibes, but like a person who has like a full-on herb garden, who has like their own vegetables growing in their backyard. That is kind of the aesthetic I have here. And so my thought here would definitely be a potting station. You know, you could get the color scheme going on here with we don't have the color scheme here, but if we did have the color scheme, you could have the color scheme here, more of a simpler stylings instead of, you know, something more dramatic. It gets the growth vibes, the more lively vibes of the character, while also still being soft and cozy. The only problem is, Date Everything does take place in a house, and I don't know how we would get them in a house because you want this outside. There's dirt, there's water, there's everything else. Like, this is a potting station, by the way, if I didn't say that. This is a potting station. A sunroom or a porch would be perfect. That is exactly where they would be. And you could have more of the idea of this being, you know, that, like the character doesn't use it enough, or the character doesn't clean it up properly and they hate the mess, because this is a very, while still being like a homey kind of like, almost gives me like prairie vibes, there's still a very clean aesthetic. And so if a player were to be leaving the setup like messy or leaving it undone, that could kind of like work with the character vibes, the story, the idea behind it, of what they're unhappy with. You put on the balcony? If there's a balcony, yeah. Yes. I think that would work perfect for them, especially with the plants, the pots, everything there. And there was a few other ideas I had. I mean, like, there's more of these potting stations that are more of like focused on just the sink stuff, or hi Noir, how you doing? Or more like that seemed kind of like trashy. This really still has that cozy vibe that I think goes with her a lot better. Put together, well designed, cute, wonderful with her character. All right, next we have the lovely Lucky Honk. They are a goose. Or I believe they're a goose. But that being said, this is a soft boy. This is a soft boy. I mean, I'm looking at all of the pictures, and all of the pictures of them are very, very soft, very sleepy. Their hair kind of reminds me of like down feather, which is so cute. And so my idea for this is a sun nook, a little like sun window chair area. This isn't necessarily like the best one for it, but I mean, you can mix in the goose feathers, you know, with like the down cushioning. You can get the color scheme going on more with like the wood and such. And having this kind of like really warm, soft, like, come curl up with me, come lay on me, let's look out the window, that kind of vibe. I think it would fit this character really, really well. Whether or not they are an actual soft boy, I don't know. But just going off of this one, I mentioned the other ones that they sent me. I just like the idea of like a cuddly space, something warm in the sun, who's going to be very chill. Talking to them would always be like very relaxing and enjoyable, and they would never be like too demanding. They just want you to be there, read a book, and share the space with them. Would I date them? Obviously. And so far, every character so far I would date. So, you know, people make fantastic designs. I love them all so very, very, very much. But yes, the cushions, the pillows. Maybe less pillows. Or maybe more pillows. That'll be up to them. Next, we have... what was that, 53? I feel like I didn't talk long enough on them. But I mean, it's very... This one's very, like, cut and dry for me. Like, it's soft, it's warm, it makes sense. I think... I don't think I could even think of something else that would fit them better. I mean, like, a blanket maybe, but their clothing is very light. They're more breezy, and so I feel like just, like, a sunny spot in a bay window is perfect. maybe do something with the idea of, like, you know, as it becomes nighttime, the spot's less sunny, less welcoming, and make them a little bit more gruff. But with this aesthetic, they're in the sun, they're warm, it's fluffy. What else would you want from me? Okay. Next, Robin. Robin B. Bat. No biting people, chat. No biting people. Now, Robin, though you might misunderstand that they aren't actually a bird, and those ears are bat ears, not wolf ears. I know, it's very, very surprising. I too was confused. Don't bite, don't bite. But they have this very cool gothic aesthetic, like the leather suit, almost BDSM without being BDSM, you know. They are a bat, and so I like the idea of them being like a darker, more elaborate like chair, right? Something like a high back that has these kind of like definitely more gothic vibes, but not like a leather chair, like this is vinyl or this is like pleather, because it would go more with what these fabrics are made out of. You could do more. You could do more with like the coloration, taking like the reds and applying little accents here, maybe some of the buttons. But I feel like they'd be a good match for that, like a big high back chair that is more aesthetic than necessarily comfortable, but you still want to have it in your house. Right? Because, I mean, trust me, laying on that kind of material is not the most enjoyable, but you look so good wearing it, and you look so good sitting in that chair. Everybody's going to come into the house and be like, my God, look at that chair. That is a showpiece. That is a centerpiece. That is a conversation starter. And everybody will sit in that chair just to be like, I got to sit in a cool chair. And Rama gives me the same vibes. A cool person, cool aesthetics. I love the vibe. Anybody disagree? Anybody have any other ideas for this one? Or did I nail that? Did I knock it out of the park? Robin is cool? Yes. Yes. You like the assessment? Good. I'm glad you all like the assessment. All right, we have 3 more here. I'm going through these way too fast. Chat. By the way, you can hit !enter if you'd like to join the giveaway. And you know what? Let's do it, chat. If you haven't joined the giveaway yet and you'd want to win the game, Date Everything, please enter now. And I will take a look to see if it's still running. It should still be running. Or did it finish itself off? 1 second, chat. I gotta find the giveaway. Oh, yep. It's still going. We're good. You just hit !enter and it's fine. Okay, perfect. It's still running. We have 11 entrants. Anybody else want to enter? All right. We're going to close the giveaway. We're going to draw a winner. Boom, we have 2 winners. Our 2 winners here are Vanya. Drake, you already entered. I did see you enter. Don't worry. We have 2 winners, Vanya and Keeper of Fate. I will message you both after the stream. And I will send you both the games over Steam. That's going to be a lot easier, actually, for me. Well done. Thank you. There was 11 entrants. They had a 9.09% chance to win, as did everyone. I did not adjust any of the variables. So just if you want to DM me and remind me later, I will be sending you the game. Thank you. All right. Hi, Lisa. We have 3 more entrants to go through. So let's get going with those. Let's put away the game hands. There they are. Miss Blossom. Oh, we gotta put away the game hands. Look at this. Now, I love their model. I love their design. I love the aesthetic, the look. I like the color. They are a fallen goddess VTuber. I haven't read too much of their other lore, but I did look into it. Well, Lisa, you should have entered. You should have entered into the thing. The event was running for over 2 weeks, but yes, they are a fallen goddess VTuber. I didn't look too much into their lore, but I do like the aesthetic. I do like the dark look here. I like the purple, but they also have this very regal aesthetic to me. And so looking at this character, I went through a bunch of different options. I mean, I thought maybe like an ornate fireplace, but they aren't simple, but they are, you know, no, I'm not looking for a better word than simple. Refined. They are refined. They're not overly ornate. They do have some ornate features, but it is a more played down styling here, which I think goes really well for their character. And so I thought, like, you know, fireplace, which would have been over the top. And I thought, you know, let's do another high back chair, but like, it doesn't really feel right. And with them being a fallen goddess, hi, Lala, the little alien, how you doing? With them being a fallen goddess, I wanted a mixture of that in there. And so the idea also came to me briefly of like, you know, let's do something with like furniture in the attic. But I think what fits them better is something that has more of like a mysterious, mystical kind of vibe. And so both of these are very tarnished, ornate hand mirrors. And I think this would be nice to find like someplace it doesn't belong, where it's like, maybe it fell behind something, maybe it was lost in the attic, maybe it's like a bit cracked. And where you'd have really this like, oof. You have this more mysterious, this more elegant aesthetic, while still fitting in some other elements. And you could bring in some more of their coloration to it. I mean, like maybe tint the glass a bit, add some more like jewels to this thing. But I think this like silver, really over the top but understated hand mirror would fit them very, very well. Obviously would date. They're gorgeous. They're lovely. Yeah, I think they'd be very, very good vibe. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm so sorry to hear that, little alien. I hope it gets better. Aura, is Aura here? Okay. Aura the shark. The sharky. Vase aesthetic, and you might not recognize what it is on the right, but hear me out when I go through this. I like this one, especially with these gray tones. This was my favorite one of the pictures, and so I'm going with this. I know you're usually blue, but I like the gray tones because it matches with this. This is a garbage disposal. And I'm not saying you're garbage. I just love the idea of a shark-themed garbage disposal that just devours things with the sharp teeth. I love the look because it's more slender here. It'd be something that you'd kind of like find on accident. And just like this kind of like really like... This is almost like tomboyish, more like boyish vibe here. Where it's just like, you know, get close to me and I might rip your hand off, but also, you know, like you need me. I love it. I love it. I think it'd be such a great addition. I wish there was more like animalish themed things in Date Everything. Like, you know, a shark being the garbage disposal. And now I want to see if there is a garbage disposal in Date Everything. But yeah, I think it'd be perfect. It'd vibe, it'd be cool. You'd throw it stuff, and it would love you for what you feed it. Big Macs. Yes, we'd feed you exclusively Big Macs. Do you disagree, Aura? Is there something else you'd have rather have been? Or do you think that fits your vibe and aesthetic? You agree with this? Perfect. And lastly, the last person I think who entered in time, Cookie VA. Now, I don't know much about Cookie's vibe. I don't know much about, like, Cookie's aesthetic and everything. It's hello, Evil Diva, how you doing? But this gives me a very kind of, like, modern, a very simple, a very masculine vibe to it, but also having this technological vibe because they always have these goggles in their thing. So it's a mix of like, you know, technology and almost cyberpunky whilst having this modern look. Bye, Keeper. And so in my head, my idea here is one of these mechanical stairs. I'd want to change the color scheme, obviously, but I like the idea of like you pulling down the ladder in a small space and they kind of just like shoot out. I think it would match the vibe of them very, very well. Super technological, super sleek, not over-designed, which is very cool. And it'd be a thing that you kind of like accidentally discover. But yeah, I think there was one more technically, but... Oh. I guess that was the person who took theirs away. Huh. Interesting. They must have removed theirs when I was looking at it. But yeah, there you go. That is all of the ones for the Day Everything thing that signed up in time. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And for those who won the giveaway, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're going to find something else to do to keep streaming. What would Gene be, chat? Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Here's the redeem. Diva. Diva. You're such a bad girl. Always such a bad girl. How dare you? Garbage disposal for souls. I love that idea. I love the idea of non-traditional Reapers. Like, have you all seen Dead Like Me? Where they're just people who are kind of like brought into the system, who are just kind of listening to this in headphones as was wild. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, hopefully. Dead Like Me was a show about people who get made into Reapers, and all they have to do is find a person who's supposed to die and touch them. And if they touch them, things will happen to kill them. And it's so cool. It is so cool. Like one girl like touches him and like these little goblins come out of nowhere and they start fucking him up, and like they like push a skateboard and the guy stands on the skateboard and falls downstairs and snaps his neck. It's like you always wonder, how are they gonna die? And a lot of the stories about like them trying to find the person they're supposed to kill. Bleach and shenanigans. Yes, exactly. I'd like to watch it sometimes. It was back in the era of like the sci-fi shows. You know, we're just gonna yap now. Let's just yap, okay? Chat, I have my pick first, Gene. Okay, wait. Chat, if I was furniture, what furniture do you think I'd be? What furniture do you think I'd be? Let me get that one. You all get a choice. I want to hear it. And why? Why would I be that furniture? DM me the photo? Yeah, sure, DM me the photo. Let me see it. Look at DMs. Okay, I'm looking at DMs. I'm looking at DMs. Jeez. All right, we have... Why'd you just send me a picture of a dog? A dog collar. A dog collar. Come on. Come on. You can't just be like, he's a dog. He's a dog. A doggy door. I'm more than just a dog. I'm not a dog, but I am more than just a dog. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me, chat. You think I'm just a dog? You know, no, we're getting closer. We're getting closer, chat. This is what you get. This is what you deserve. We're getting closer. We're getting even closer. Chat. Am I just a dog to you? Is that it? Is that all I really am? Yeah, I mean, you can say, if you think that I'm a certain furniture, you can just DM me there. I'm not just a dog. I have more to me than just my canineness, thank you. I mean, look at the teeth. That's not only dog teeth, there's normal teeth in there too, and I have ears. Look at my human ears. I'm not only a dog. I know I act like a dog in person, but hey. Oh, have fun, little alien. I'll see you later. But I'm more than just a dog, okay? Am I too close? Wait. Is this too close to the screen, chat? Or do you think this is a good distance from the screen? I think it's a good distance. All right, let me see. All right. A pen is good. Okay, I like a pen. With the red and black aesthetic. A fountain pen. I hate fountain pens, by the way. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope things get better for you. Your photo of a dog that's up on a wall? Bad. I like this. I like a fountain pen. That's a good one. That is a good one. Okay, I dig it. I can't use them, but I like it. Batosai, did you just send me a picture of a plushie cell? Why am I a cell plushie? A poker set. Poker set could be good. It would go with the aesthetic a lot, I think. Or maybe like a couple poker chips. Just a cell plushie? Why? Because I'm perfect? Are you trying to tell me I'm perfect? Is that what it is? I'm perfect. Perfect, Sal. I'm just gonna draw Gina dog. What did I miss? Oh, kiss for chat. There you go. Okay, no, but fountain pen I think is the best. Fountain pen I think is the best. Maybe a journal. A journal with nothing written in it. A journal that you always meant to write something in but never got written in. That's what I am. But yes, I want to yap. Chat. Sci-fi. Do you all know sci-fi? SCIFI. Not SYFY, which was the stupid version of it later on, but the Sci-Fi Channel, back when it was called Science Fiction Channel. There was a golden age of these really goofy shows, like Warehouse 13. Oh, God, I loved it. Warehouse 13 was so good, where what they do is there's a warehouse. It's like an infinite warehouse, and it's just stored with artifacts that do crazy shit. It was like SCP before SCP was SCP. Oh, it was so cool. And it'd be like they'd have these different items that they'd be like, oh, this thing does this thing, and we need to retrieve it and put it in our thing. Defiance was pretty good. Eureka was so good. Hi, Cookie, how you doing? Eureka was so good. I mean, the idea of Eureka was there was this sheriff, right? And he got brought into this town, and it turns out that it's like a secret super science town with all these genius guys, and they work in this big building, and they need the science. They need the normal average sheriff guy. Oh, bye. Sheriff guy to solve all their stupid science problems, and they would have such stupid science problems. Accidentally cloning themselves. I opened a time dilation thing. I almost all the time destroying the fucking town. It was so cool. It was so cool. And you had a smart house, and then the house would go wrong. It was great. You think you show me what furniture I'd be? What furniture? A pool table. A pool table's not bad. Mm-hmm. Bigfoot, sex, and aliens. Interesting. I kind of want to go back and watch all those shows because they were just so good. And it was like Dollhouse, I think was what it was called, where they had like these people that were so many stories, so many cool stuff, so many bad shows too. Like it was the Netflix of channels where everybody would get a show on it. But they were all science fiction-y, all great, all so imaginative. And like it's not that they were bad, it's just like they were good. I don't want to say they weren't good. I mean, even B movies are good. It's just like the concept is kind of goofy and the premise is kind of silly, and they don't like last up as a premise for too long, and the scale of things was determined by episode to episode. You know what I mean? Kiss for chat? Kisses. I kind of just, maybe I'll just start watching them again. Oh, what was that one? There was one that was about like a parallel universe, right? Or like they would keep opening up portals for parallel universes all the time. And like things would come through. Like one time, like dinosaurs or something came through. Oh, that was a different one. There was one where just like it kept opening to sci-fi shit. And there was another one that opened up to a parallel universe, and things would come across there, and they had weirder technologies. Like you'd get like some weird science disease, or some guy would turn into amber, and you had this crazy scientist doctor who was just like super fucking smart. I'm such a cute little Gene puppy. There you go. There's your ARF. Cute little puppy. I said it wrong. Happy. Let me talk about my science shows. Because I made it 10,000, so I kind of had to make it actual barking, didn't I? I can't charge 10,000 and not make it actual barking. That would be insane. Cheese factory exploded in France. There was nothing left but debris. Fried chicken. Oh, Jet, do you have any shows that like were just objectively not the best, but you love them still? Especially like short-running shows or shows that like ended way too soon. Firefly was lovely. I loved Firefly. Have you all ever heard the story of Firefly though? Like why Firefly got like so shit-canned? And how Firefly got cursed from the beginning. I don't know if Firefly would have done good. It was a good show, but it was definitely a sci-fi show. But how many of you know like about Firefly and the whole premise and what happened with Firefly? Oh god, I love Top Gear. Old Top Gear was so good. I hate the new show. I mean, like, it's good still. It is so good. Oh, have a good sleep. Mwah. I didn't like the thing that they did on Amazon because they had too much money. I liked when they were given stupid challenges. When they were given like such stupid challenges, it was like, we're gonna drive really cheap cars across Africa. Or we're gonna go down to, we're gonna take these cars, drive them all the way up through the Central America and try to sell them in New Orleans. And because they'd get to New Orleans, they got to New Orleans, by the way, having these really awful cars. And this was right after Hurricane Katrina. They were trying to make these drives with these vehicles through all this like insane shit and then sell them for a profit. And they're like, fuck. Well, Hurricane Katrina really fucked up this place. Maybe we just give away the cars. And so they did. They cleaned up the cars, they made them nice again, and they just gave them away to people who needed cars, which is really, really nice. James May is lovely. They were all great. Yes. Hammond is also funny. The hamster. Jeremy Clarkson. Wait, have you all heard the thing about Jeremy Clarkson? About his scare? Jeremy Clarkson, like on the show, talked about how he thought he was gonna die. Cause he thought he had colon cancer. Cause one day he was like, having a poo as one does. And he looks in the toilet and he sees that his poop is red. And he's like, oh no, it's red. It's red. Why is it red? And so he Googles it. And the man looks up on Google, like, what's going on with him? And they've like, colon cancer. You're gonna die in a month, or it's uncurable. There's no cure for it. And so for like an entire week, his entire week, he was like trying to make his final preparations, being like, oh, like I'm gonna be dead, like nothing matters, and he's all depressed. And he finally goes to a doctor, and the doctor's like, have you been eating beets? It turns out the man had just been eating beets the entire time. And yeah, he didn't die of colon cancer. It was just red in his poop. Hi, Big Burr Beater. How you doing? But yeah, shows like that, especially like, the Junkyard Wars, where they had to go to a junkyard and they had to like get all this stuff together and make like robots or make like a boat or something. That was so great. And they'd make these stupid things, and I don't even know, like, I know it was like a fake junkyard, but still, I love shows where they build stuff, especially from scratch. And my all-time favorite, my was ruined after one season show, was they had a show that was about surviving an apocalypse. I think that might have been on Discovery, actually. But they took a bunch of guys, like professors and random people and normal people. And they're like, okay, everybody, the idea here is that you have reached it to the world's end, and there's a natural disaster, and you have to find a place to stay and live there for a whole, I don't know, however long. And they go and they find this warehouse, and they have to like make a living space for themselves. And the reason I liked it is because they had this guy on there who was like a professor who actually knew survival shit. And so he made like all sorts of things. Like he made first, toilets. Toilets are a really nice place for clean water after apocalypses. Didn't know this. As long as you know, they don't back up or the plumbing system goes bad. But so what he did was he made a water filter, the standard water filter that everybody makes. Sand, charcoal, sand, charcoal, sand, charcoal. You do this for a reason though, by the way. The sand and the charcoal, crushed charcoal, are small enough sieves to filter out the impurities, and the mixture of the layers helps remove like larger bacteria and toxins, not toxins, but like larger bacteria, some toxins, because charcoal can do some of that. And it still though can leave some things alive in the water. And after that, you can do one of two things. You can either boil it, which is going to kill the majority of the rest of the pathogens, or I think you might need to boil it and then run it through a filter. I can't remember, one of these ways. Boiling it will kill the pathogens, and you might not know this, but swallowing bacteria, if they're dead, is fine, as long as they're not living. Or you electrocute it. You can make ozone. And doing that, electrifying water or making ozone, which is what happens when you put electricity through water, which is why it smells clean, by the way. Ozone can be used to clean things. And the reason why things smell clean after it rains is because of ozone. Lightning creates it in the atmosphere, etc. And thus you have like clean water. So you can either do electrocuting or you can boil it. And I can't remember what they did, but yes, it was super cool. And then they would have like people attack, and they had to make like these harmless defense things, and so much fun. But then the show got like too big and too serious, and they tried to make it a bigger space, and they're like, oh, you gotta travel, and oh, you're getting attacked regularly, and oh, there's zombies now. And I was just like, no, the first episode was great because it was small scale, and then the second one was all about personalities, and it wasn't as good. Tomato, potato, 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 tomato. Sorry, I don't know what just happened there. I was reading the thing, the post, the shush. I got distracted. Don't judge me. Okay. Whew. Not again. Tomato, potato, 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 tomato, tomato, potato, tomato, potato, tomato, potato, tomato, potato, tomato, potato, tomato, potato, tomato, potato. I messed up. No! I was so close. Broccoli. Why are you bringing it? Hello, Starshine. We are not reading fruits and vegetables on the screen. I don't know what I was doing, but hey, Starshine, what kind of, do you have a show that got canceled that you wish hadn't gotten canceled? We're talking specifically about like the old school sci-fi shows, and you know what I love? You know what show I love, chat? I love all of the, I forgot what they're called. Oh God, chat. I'll be right back. I gotta think. 1 second. Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone. So good. Classic sci-fi. Thank you, Ursine. Like bear. Hey, thank you for the follow. Are you a bear? You didn't win. Nice try, though. I refuse to say broccoli lettuce. That one's too difficult. I don't like broccoli lettuce. The other one, potato tomato. They're so close that they're fun to say. Power Rangers of Quistic Force. I still, we're just going to talk today. I still think it's funny that like the early Power Rangers were so like wrong. Lemon mango? Tomato, potato, 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 tomato, potato. I think it's funny that the early Power Rangers was so wrong. And I might mean, what do I mean by that? What do you mean by that? How is early Power Rangers wrong? Because when they came to America, they just got different actors to do the unmasked stuff. Like it was like the Yellow Ranger, I think, was either a guy or a girl. I'm gonna go to sleep to your voice. Good night. Oh, hello, Della Veta. How you doing? Welcome. Mwah. Okay, so I don't know exactly how I used to watch Power Rangers with my younger cousin because he forced me to. I used to watch it, unironically. I had Power Ranger stuff. I loved Batman. Oh god, old Batman was so good. Okay, but yes, old egg, bacon. No, we're not doing that one. Banana, pineapple. That one's fun. One second. Banana, pineapple. Amazing. Okay, sorry. The original one. Power Rangers. I think Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The American actors were different actors, and so whenever they would take the helmet off, they were just different characters. And so the plots of the shows could be completely different as long as the armor scenes were still the same. And it was just cheaper to do it that way instead of, dubbing over and having Japanese actors, because you know what Americans can't stand at that time? Foreigners. And so, of course, we had to change the actors into something that was more palatable. But I think specifically, like, one of the actors is a female in the American version and is male in the Japanese version. And so that's very confusing, especially when their body type changes. But I love old dubs because they're so bad. Or like Godzilla. Tell me you've seen Godzilla. Tell me you all have seen Godzilla, the original Godzilla. A guy with tits? No. It was a girl who had no female features because the actual character was male. So, Godzilla, by the way, is about the bombing of Hiroshima, if you didn't know this, is so much different in the Japanese version versus the American version, because we did the same thing there, except instead of just being like, oh, we're going to change the actors, no, they just added a guy. They just took a guy, an American actor, and cut him in. It's just like the camera will pan over to him and it's like him instead of somebody else, and the dubbing is all awful and doesn't make any sense, but then you have the one American guy that they had to slap in there so that Americans could enjoy it. And so yeah, if you watch the American version of Godzilla and the Japanese version of Godzilla, it is completely different. Same movie, just different. Should we play something? Do y'all want to play something? We could play something. I have a few games we could play. Ratshaker, for one. We have... New event idea. What's the new event idea? What cartoons did I used to watch? Oh, okay. I used to watch... Well, got canceled. I wouldn't say canceled. I mean, they got finished. I mean, like, OG Digimon I loved. Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched every freaking Saturday. I was one of those kids. Every Saturday I'd wake up and watch it. And I used to try to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But I used the card system from the show. By the way, oh, my biggest grievance as a child. So, I loved buying cards. Oh, I still love buying cards. There's something about opening packs, seeing the cards inside and being like, oh, they're so cool. And they're my cards. They're nobody else's cards. They're mine. I got Jinzo. I had the fucking ocean card. I had the magic fisherman. I had multiple of the dark magician from PAX. I had the skull guy. I had so many cards. I had multiple red eyes black dragons. The cards I had were actually potentially worth something, but I was a kid and I didn't know that, and I just wanted to show them off at school. So I took them to school, put them in my pants pocket, and then what do I do when I get home? What I always do when I get home. I take off my pants and drop them on the floor, and my mother, being the lovely mother she is, picks up my pants and chucks them into the laundry. Blue Eyes Dog Dragon. Crazy. And then I get my pants, and she goes to me and goes, I'm so sorry, but you left your deck in your pants. And I'm like, oh, okay. Not knowing what that meant. I pull out the cards. The deck is one solid mass. Every corner of the deck is gone. And it is just like one big freaking rectangle. It was a circle because I left my deck in my pants. I've never done that ever since. But my God. Eclipse, hello, am I late? Late for what? I don't know, you potentially are. For the event, yes, you are late for the event. We did the event already, now we're just chatting. If you were entered, I did put timestamps on whoever was entered. It was a lot of fun. Code Lyoko was good too. Never put his deck in his pants. I have Japanese Dark Magician. I bet it's pretty. Code Lyoko was good. Have you seen the Code Lyoko foreheads? But how you doing, Eclipse? How you doing? I hope your day is going well. The rat game only have the energy to rumble. What do you mean rumble? What does that mean? Am I fighting the rat? Am I gonna fight the rat? Huh? Chat, I just realized I made a smug ass look. I can look smug. Sorry, I got distracted. What did he promise? I just remember, what did Gene promise? What did I promise? What did I promise? What did I promise? Yeah, it's still today, motherfucker. I didn't say I'd have it ready for this stream. It's still today, motherfucker. What do you mean? Wait, I have to download 7TV? It's a download? I went to the page. It says to download it. I don't know what you're talking about. It says download right here. The emote platform for all. Download 7TV. Download the web extension. Download the stable release. Yeah, see? Add to Chrome. Boom. And so I add it. Platforms. Twitch. Okay. I don't want it on Kick. I just want it on Twitch. Thank you for the hydrate star. Cheers. That's fair. I watch a lot of anime too. Are you active in chat? Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay. Okay. Wait, but for me to see it though, I have to have my window open, right? And I don't keep Twitch open. I have watched Black Butler. Oh, Black Butler is good. I know, but I don't use OBS for my chat. That was the issue. I use an overlay. I use a screen overlay. And so it still is not going to work. Who is the red-haired person who likes to devour people, or who has the chainsaw? Grell? I think they're named Grell. Yes. Grell. Yes, I love Grell. Hello, Rusklot. How you doing? Okay. Okay, we're going to play some Ratshaker. I don't know what Ratshaker is, but I have some time left over. I mean, it's 4:43. So technically, normally, we'd have another hour, right? And I mean, like, our event only went, like, from 3 to 4. So, Chatterino, I use Twitch Chat Overlay, is what it's called. I don't know what Chatterino is, but I'll look into Chatterino. If it lets me do a screen overlay, I'll use Chatterino instead. Yeah. But what this does is an overlay of like everything. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing. Interesting. I don't remember what gender they were. Ratshaker, Ratshaker, Ratshaker. We are going to shake the rats. We're going to shake them nice and good. All right, chat? You and I together. I think Chatterino like adds it to the apps you're playing, and I think that's why I didn't do it. This one is just a clean Twitch chat overlay. So yeah. You want to shake me like maracas? Don't shake me. Do not shake me. So mean. So mean. I don't deserve to be shaken, okay? I deserve to be loved and cuddled and fed delicious, 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 delicious snacks, okay? All right, we gotta find Ratshaker. Rat. Did I not buy Ratshaker? Chat, did I not buy Ratshaker yet? There's no way I don't own Ratshaker. Totally bought Ratshaker already. I don't know what you're talking about. Boop ba doop boop boo. Let me purchase. Let me purchase. I feel fancy, have painted nails. Nice, cat. Hi, Snumby. Snumby, do you still have Twitter? Snumby, I could have sworn you had a Twitter. Install. We're totally not installing the game now. Shush. Boom. No? No. I don't think I have something else done. Maybe I was thinking about somebody else. But I remember I always mispronounced your name, so you know. Snumby. See, it's fair. It's fair. Wow. Chat till game downloads. All right, chatting till game downloads. What is up, chat? How you all doing? What is up? What is up? What is up? Tell me what your favorite color is. Wait, Dara's not submit. Dara did not submit. No. 13 Black Mud. Oh, I used to like this manga called Free Colors Kingdom because I got named after the cat in it. I had friends name me after the cat. It was my nickname. They called me Cyan because of the little guy Kit. Yeah, there's only like 16 entries, I think. So it wasn't too much to go through, but you know. I think it's just a weird event that everyone's like, what is he doing? Why is he just making us furniture? And nobody knew what I was going to be doing. I think I put more effort into it than people were expecting. TBH. Yeah, you're this furniture. All right, game over. GG. All right, we're going to change the event real quick to... Shake them rats. Done. And now I need to stop the music, chat. 1 second. It's rat shaking time. You ready? All right, where's OBS? OBS. I lost OBS. Shit, help. This is. Okay. Oh, I might need to move. Give me a second, chat, while I move myself. I'm gonna move yourself to the movement. You never let it go. Only got one stop. There's no sound right now, by the way. I do have the audio set up properly. I don't hear any sound either. Can you hear that? Can you hear this, chat? Good. Fight me, Ross. All right, here we go. Wait. I gotta make sure I have. Okay, I think the volume probably needs to go up a little bit. There we go. What's the game category? Set to Ratshaker, right? There we go. Oh. Okay. Yeah, there we go. feel the satisfaction of the meter rising, chat. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We don't want to kill it. I don't know if we can kill it, actually. There we go. Okay, okay. I got this, chat. How you doing? You doing okay? All right. Okay, shake that rat. Why is he laughing? Why are you laughing? Stop laughing. Max out the rat shaking. We did it. Shake it. Okay. Shake it. Jork it. Okay. Don't stop. Don't stop. Got it. Listen to the rules. Oh, okay. Okay. Keep going. Something grew in the distance. What was that? My arms. Keep shaking. Don't stop shaking. Okay. Okay. Here we go. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. Oh, by the way, thank you for the idea of the follow, Smallberry Gecko. I think I missed you. How you doing? We're almost there. Almost. Come on. A little bit further. And stop. All right, we stopped. Feel it. Do I feel the shaking? Can I look around? I cannot move, chat. All I can do is shake it.
It doesn't matter how much you shake me. You can't undo what has been done.
The game does not let me move. Wait. Is the game broken? Chat, I think the game's broken. I think the game's broken. I think I should be able to move, but I can't move. Oh god, we gotta start over. Wait, should I be able to move? Oh wait, so I shouldn't be able to move. I can't turn, so I can't turn, right? I want to make sure I can't turn. I need to know if I can or cannot turn. You can't move, thank God. Okay. We're back. We're starting over. I got this, though. Stretch, got this. Okay. There we go. I gotta max this out, though, so that we can get back to where... Pink, you missed you. Okay. I got this. A little bit further. It does, Big Billy. You're a fantastic singer. Pink, I hope your break's going well. My arm. We might have to change arms, chat. We're gonna change arms. Okay. There we go. Left-handed. Nice left arms. Don't worry, we're doing good. Weak? Don't call me weak. Rude. Okay. Gotta go back to my thing. Enjoy your thing. Okay. Don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going. I'm not a weak puppy. Not a puppy. God, my entire table's shaking right now. Jerking like a man. Time to solve crimes. What crimes are you solving? Keep shaking. Hardcore shaking. Well, it's really hot in here, actually. I don't have my AC on. Because I'm trying to save money. And here we go. I like how it gets deeper. It's... Okay. Feel it. Taste it. What am I tasting?
It doesn't matter how much you shake me. You can't undo what has been done.
You can't stop me. The voice. He does sound like Jigsaw. Oh no, everybody hears the whispering. Everybody hears whispering, Aura. No, Aura, actually you're going crazy. Come on. Come on. No, shake, 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 shake. Hello, Amethyst, how you doing? Keep shaking it. Stop. Okay. Squeeze, squeeze. I'm squeezing. I'm squeezing the rat. I'm squeezing it. Okay. I'm squeezing it. I'm squeezing. Oh, it means right click. Sorry, I thought it was lit up the other direction. This is insane. Stop.
Squeeze the rat.
Look at its eyes. Tell me what I need to know, rat. Tell me what I need to know, rat. Tell me what I need to know. Oh, God, his eyes. Okay. Okay, please, please, what? Keep going. Hi, Ray. How you doing? There we go.
You've broken. Oh, great shaker of rats. The answers you seek are over.
Oh, I can move. I can move, chat.
Beyond that hill stands a house that was not there before. A house that has no familiar shape.
The funny thing is that 98% of the male population have the perfect muscle memory to break the rat's will. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Pretorius. Can I choke you? Like, I mean, hey, Ray. That'll cost you. That'll cost you. I don't stop shaking the rat. The rat does not get it. It feels like a fever dream. I mean, it pretty much is. Oh, I could voice that. Gene screaming ASMR. Gene being choked as a rat ASMR. Dog CBT.
You must know what's inside, and there's no
Okay. Oh, and that rodent traumatized her. I'm so sorry, Ocean. I'm so sorry.
abandon hope. Ye who enter.
And there's a farmhouse chat. Chat, we found a secret. Oh. Oh, he's laughing, chat. He's laughing, chat. He's like a Pez dispenser. I know, but there's a farmhouse back here. I want to see what's in the farmhouse. But there's a farmhouse. I don't care where I'm supposed to go. Shit. 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 Fuck. Ah! You that means, chat? Do you know what that means, chat? Read the pinned message. 1-8 followers away from the Empreg emote. What the fuck? I can't believe it. Here we go again. I don't want to shake my rat. Okay. Maximum shaking. Hey, so, Mom, shaking. Oh, Jesus. I whip my hair back and forth. I whip my hair back and forth. I whip her hair back and forth. I whip my hair back and forth. Okay. Shake it like you mean it. I'm trying. Okay. All right, we'll do one with one. We'll do one with one hand, and then we'll do one with the other hand. There we go. Okay. Swapping hands. Type shift. Type shift. What do you mean type shift? What are you doing to shift? I like that. I don't know what that emote is, Ray, but I like it. Okay. Almost. Type shift. Almost. Maximum rat meter. Come on. Almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Ah, there we go. Feel it? Do you feel the shaking, chat? Do you feel the shaking? Okay. Taste it. Listen.
No matter how much you shake me, you can't undo what's been done.
All right, shake it. This is my new workout, chat. You command me to jerk it as my lord? That's insane. Well, Isabella, welcome to this. We're shaking it. We're jorking it. Okay. And there it is. And now we squeeze until it almost dies. You need its eyes to turn red. Tell me your secrets. Squeeze. And there we go. Hello, Moxie.
Great shaker of rats.
Okay. Okay.
You seek are
Okay.
over there.
Yes. We did it.
Beyond that hill
We made it.
stands a house that was not there before.
Don't go into the don't go into the
Has no
barn.
a house built by sin.
Sin house.
Ratshaker.
But there's no way we're getting 28 follows this stream, chat. There's no way we're getting 28 follows this stream. That ain't happening. You woke to a fever dream is what you woke to. Unless you all just like start pinging random people and being like, hey, go follow this guy. Why do you sound out of breath? Because I had to shake the rat. I was shaking the rat. You have to physically shake the rat. It's hard work, okay? It's hard work working it. I actually got little forehead sweats. We're not killing, we gotta keep it alive. This is what happens when you die. You go see do you see a jorking rat? You jork a rat?
You must know what's inside,
I don't.
and then you must find it.
Hi, Nick Screen. Also, the fuck's this game? This is the Ratshaker game. We shake rats. We're pro rat shaking here. Yes, there's an Mpreg emote that if chat gets me to 1,000 followers, I think it's actually, was it before the end of the month? We listened to the dialogue last time. I don't need to listen to the dialogue twice. Well, I just gotta... Don't you dare. Don't you fucking know! How dare you, Nix. I'm gonna get Npreg. Come on. How do we get in? Oh. Wait. Open the door. Open the door. Open. Thank you for the hydrate. Cheers. Oh. Oh, it's like he's like a magic rat. Sweet. Okay, cool. Cool. Gotta keep my rat meter full, chat. Fill up them rats. There we go. Okay. Open the door, rat. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. You think I can use it as a gun? This rat is like Doctor Who's screwdriver. It's exactly like Doctor Who's screwdriver. Find it. TV. Turn the TV on.
Are you tired of dealing with pesky rats that just won't leave you alone? Introducing Ratshaker, the fast,
shit.
easy, and fun way to keep rats in check. Just hold, shake.
Ah, shit. There it is. Thank you. Oh, hey. We got a thing. Love it. Oh, okay. Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs, I have an idea. That's true. Mr. Krabs. This is, just imagine this is how you have to get around your house, though. You shake a rat, you aim it at things that you want to work, and you have to squeeze the rat until it works. Which is just wild. It's just a wild way of running anything. Somebody came up with this game. Somebody came up with the premise of squeezing rats should open doors. That should turn things on. You'd cry you hate rats? Vibes. That's a rat family. Also, here's some emote ideas. Hey, I love those. Them's cutes. I like those. We gotta get more emotes. Actually. I love the booty. Love the booty. Okay, what's in this room? Do we need cassette tapes? No. He's not escaping Mpreg. I'm not escaping Mpreg. The second, don't mind the fourth emote. You sure? You sure I shouldn't mind the fourth emote? That one's hi, Wild Kitten. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely to see you. Oh, we got an ad breaking about 3. Hi. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. What am I doing? Where am I going? Chat, I'm so lost. I am so lost. Oh, no, that door's open already. That door's open already. What am I missing? Oh, wait. Okay. So, oh! Found it. Found it. Figured it out. Oh, how are you doing, Wild Kitten Ray? How's streaming been? How you? God, I hope it's not a rat. Imagine if you're like, hey, do you like me? Do you think you're attracted to me? I mean, I see that bulge in your pants. It's a rat. It's a rat. He controls me like Remy by the pubes. That's how I doink people. I have a rat in my pubes who controls my dick. Okay. Sorry. Aura, don't spoil it. Don't tell me what to do. I'll figure it out. I promise, Aura. I will figure it out. Where? What the fuck? What the fuck?
Are you tired of dealing with pesky rats that just won't leave you alone?
I'm so
Introducing Ratshaker, the fast, easy, and fun way to keep
the TV's shaking. The TV's shaking. Huh. Took a break this week, but we'll be doing things later this night. Typical, been... Who, he, ha, what the fuck was that? I don't have a paycheck. What do you mean, chat? I mean, I assumed it wasn't a... I assumed this wasn't a pleasant... Yeah. There we go. I assume this wasn't a pleasant game. Because, you know, we're kind of killing around here. Oh, hey! It's, I think it's, what is it, Jupiter? It's the Titan. Eating Zeus. Well, not Zeus. God, who did he eat? I don't remember which one was eaten. Oh, yay! I think it's a dead baby. Fun. Okay, well. Oh, picture. God, this got dark. He's using your lap as a pillow. Oh, that's cute. Tell him I say hi. All right, here we go again. Oodaladi, oodaladi, ooda, what a day. There it is. Ah! We're okay. Don't worry about it, Moreau. This is normal. Apparently this is a horror. Ah! I love when my I love when this happens. This is the best. This is terrifying. We probably should have saved this for find her. I'm trying to find her. Oh. Oh shit. Chat, don't touch the static. The static breaks you. I have learned. I have learned. Enjoy your shower. Static hurts. Okay. All right. Oh, hey. It's a body. Don't you just love bodies, chat? Look at them bodies. Find me some bodies to love. Find me some bodies to love. Find me somebody to love. Find me somebody to crack it. What the fuck? What? Why did I crack his spine like a glow stick? Why did I crack his spine like a glow stick? This is a fever dream. This is purgatory, isn't it? Okay, you know, I'm not gonna deal with that. That's fine. I don't need to worry about that. Find me somebody to love. I don't know, Vanya. I do not know. Well, we cracked the rat's spine, and it started glowing. So that's fun. And now we are in hell. What you mean, children's soup? I mean, it was definitely something. Maybe it was rat soup. The stairs are so long. Oh, here we go. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Ask the devil. Satan! Satan! Satan, please. What the fuck's going on? Hello, Satan. Satan, if you'd like to please describe the scene to me so I can understand what's happening, please and thank you. I would really, 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 really appreciate it. You know, I was expecting a fun chill stream today where we decide to, we make people furniture. We decide what kind of furniture people are. Apparently, oh god, it's dark and I can't see. Oh! Rat, glow more. Aha!
I'm cheesed to meet you too.
I figured it out. We gotta keep him glowing so I can see. We snapped the rat's spine and made him radioactive. Yeah, that happened. Satan, please explain to me what has happened here. I am so very confused. Okay. Oh, nope, dead end. Oh, there it is. Ah, glowy orb! Make the radio do a thing. Alright, have a good lurk. Oh, we gotta charge up the rat. Sorry, chat, I didn't charge him enough.
Emergency. I'm currently under attack.
Radio, do something. I think I just keep turning it off and on, actually. Yeah, sorry, I gotta charge it. Okay, I guess it just wanted me to turn it off. Yeah, no, but when I turn it on, it goes to 0, and it was on when I came in here. So something's happening. Okay. We're gonna do the classic maze rules, chat. Do you know the classic maze rules? You pick a wall and you follow it all the way to the end. Aha! Let me out. Oh, there it is. Don't go into the maze. I like mazes. Mazes are fun.
Cannot escape.
You know what's funny? This game was like out for a while. And I have seen no spoilers for it. None at all. Except the fact that you can shake the rat. Oh no, a woman.
Your actions have permanent consequences.
I'm sure they do, buddy. I'm sure they do. Stop laughing at me. Wait. I don't think I've seen the bed yet. Come on. And you had a night terror that went exactly like this. Nightmare, 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 nightmare. I think I made it. Hey! Oh, finally, things are normal again. I love that normal dead body. My favorite. Isn't she so pretty, guys? Don't you just love my wife?
I wonder
Oh.
if she knows what happened under her own floorboards.
I love my wife. She's so smiley.
Your iniquities have led you here.
Hashtag face reveal.
There's no going back.
Shut up. Open the door.
Face the truth.
Wait, is this just... Ah! Fuck me. Oh, God. That scared the shit out of me. Oh, that scared the shit out of me. Oh, that was bad. Well, that's spooky. I don't know. I don't know. He's certainly something. Bro could cannibalize these nuts. I found the TV. Wait. Why isn't it working? Hello, Ratshaker. How you doing? There it goes. That it? Oh, here it goes. Here it goes. Yay! How you doing, Ratshaker? What's up? Mwah. Big kiss, Ratshaker. The rat's glowing now. Don't worry about the rat. Don't worry about why the rat glows. I have been enjoying my rat jam. Yeah, look at this flobbly body. Imagine if you snapped my neck and I glowed. Imagine if you snapped my neck and I glowed. Chat, you want to try it? I'm sure it'll work. It's fine. Here, we'll try it. Give me a second. Find a... Aha. Ready? You ready? Did I glow? Chat, did I glow? Am I glowing? Am I? No? I'm not glowing. God, what was the point? Okay. Shit. I gotta put it back in place. Okay. Neck's back. Neck is back. We're fine. Ooh, easy. My rat quit glowing. Call the chiropractor. Hi, Pumpkin Spice. How you doing? That sounded a bit too realistic. Isn't it? Wasn't that good? Chad, do you know how to make the best way to make a snapping bone sound is a water bottle. That water bottle is a bit too thick, but if you get like a plastic water bottle, like a small one, especially like a cheap one, perfect. I learned that from, something else. Something. I don't even remember. I think it was Game Grumps, actually. Do not break bones, chat. Oh, shit, listen here. You should not break the bones. You need the bones to have the spine and the life. So please, do not let your spine not exist. Okay? It's not working. It's just here. It's not letting me do anything on it. I'm just choking my fucking rat at it. I'm just jorking it, and nothing's happening. Wait. Something needs to go in there. Yes. What wire? Oh, look, a wire! I'm so good at following commands, chat. Look how good I am. Look how good I am at following commands. Yay! I'm so good at following commands. I'm so smart. Who's smart? It's me. I'm smart boy. Yay! I don't know what I'm talking. I'm sorry, chat. Hi, I'm Gene. Nice to meet you. Thank you for calling me swag. Eyes. Eyes. So obedient. Shush, 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 shush. I should go in this door. Ah! Well, that's comical. Swaggy shows. Oh, nippers. You never know. I'm such a cute little puppy. There you go. There you fucking go. That's what you wanted. Fucking. So comical. Oh, look, sacrifices. I love a good sacrifice. Well, it scared me because I looked away. Oh, hello, blood. Oh, hey, look, it's a bucket with a body in it. Have we been killing people? Have we been killing people, chat? Chat, would you let me kill people? If I thought it would be a good idea, would you let me kill people, chat? Not that you should or anything. I'm just saying. Like, what if I happen to decide to be a murderer one day? Would you be cool with me being a murderer, chat? Maybe. Yay, cool. New career path unlocked. I don't know what we're doing. Nah. Hi, TTV Chaos VTubing. You're watching me jork a rat. Oh. Nope. I like when he goes high pitch. I think it's funny. Cause it's powers. It's just magic power effects. See, this is. I needed to run this.
Pathetic.
I jorked it too much, chat. I'm sorry I jorked it too much. I'm sorry I jorked it too much. Okay, okay. I got excited. I was having fun. I'll jork it less. Okay, enjoy your lurking, Chaos VTubing. Bye-bye. I refuse to release your son. Okay. Yay! Alright, there we go. We open this one. Amazing. Open the door, 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 open, 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 open. There it is. Get ready for the jump scare. First, we gotta turn off the TV. Oh, there's no TV. Here he goes. Whoop! I didn't realize it screamed last time. Did y'all hear it scream last time? Yeah, that's what it is. Why am I sticking my tongue out? Why'd you want me to stick my tongue out? Don't you dog emote me. Don't you dog emote me. Wow. Wow. Flesh glob. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. All of you crazies. All of you are absolutely crazy. Hope you know that. Alright, we're not gonna blow it up this time. Stop. Shake. There we go. Perfect. I don't know what we did, but we did something. That's open. Nuh-uh, you say legally. Crazy, I was crazy once. Took me to a rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. I was crazy once. They took me to a rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. I was crazy once. Took me to a rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. I was crazy once. They took me to a rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. You're gonna TOS me. You're gonna terms of what's this? What are you gonna do to me? What are you gonna do to me? Okay. I'm so lost, chat. I am so lost. Did I go the wrong way? Thank you for the stretch. Becca, how you doing? And thank you for the hydrate. I'll drink a little bit of this. I'm going backwards now? Wait, what do you mean huh? I had to stretch. This is... There we go. You know, chat, I think I'm done with this game for today. I think I'm done with this game for today. I am too stressed out for this game. Okay. It is a lot. And I get sucked by the butthole. I got swallowed by the fleshy yoinky hole. I might play it again. But we'll probably save it for Halloween because it was a lot, and I was just so intrigued by it. But you know, that was a lot. Oh, okay. Back to just chatting. Okay. Rage quit. Yes, that's what it was. It was rage. That was just rage, chat. That was rage. No, I don't have to work out after this. I mean, right? Chat, you want to cuddle? Go cuddle. Don't sploink your rats. Going back to just chatting. Okay. I think we were the only person playing that game too. I can't imagine that game has a lot of regular players, because I think once you've played it once, what are you gonna do? Speedrun that? Okay, we're good. How's everybody doing? Everybody having a good evening? It's an experience game. Yeah, you play it once, you have the experience. You really can't do it again. Oh, need cuddles? I'm touch starved. I also need cuddles. I've considered doing two things. I've considered going on to dating sites and just being like, hey, we'll date you just to cuddle, please. Thank you very much. Is that an option? Is there an option just be like, hey, I only want cuddles. I don't actually want to go on a date with you or date you or see you after today. Is that an option? Or something else that I can't say on Twitch? It doesn't. That's not the same. I need. Yeah. Well, you know, that would help if I had friends here. I gotta make some VTuber friends that I can go visit and just go cuddle. Consensual platonic cuddling. I just want I don't think the dating sites people are gonna be happy that I'm going on there just like, hi, hello, lovely to meet you. Truthfully, sorry, I have no actual interest in you, but would you consider cuddling with me? In Japan, you can actually pay for that service. Really? As long as like there's nothing else there, because I don't want to boink. If I want to boink somebody, I can just go to like a bar or something. But I just want cuddles. All right, chat. Well, you know what the plan is. Fundraiser to get Gene tickets to go to Japan to hire somebody to cuddle with. I will pay to have friends. I will also pay to have friends. I mean, or head on laugh. Okay, what if I fall asleep on accident? Does that count? Like, what if are they gonna be like, actually, you fell asleep, and while you were sleeping, you put your head on my shoulder and a lap, so that's gonna triple the cost right there. Go to the animal shelter. I've thought about it, chat. I've thought about getting a pet. It's on my list. I might get like a bunny or something, because I'm in like a 1-bedroom apartment, and get hugged by grass. Then you find out you have a grass allergy. I think yeah. I've been thinking about hiring a pet. Yes, Chad. I've thought about hiring a pet. No, I've been. Hi, Foodie Moody. How you doing? I've thought about getting like a little kitty cat or like a little dog, but I don't have the time really to go walking with one or give it the attention it deserves. So it really would not be fair of me to have a cat or a dog or a pet or something and just be like, you know what, dog? I want you to exist in the space and eat food, but never talk to me or bother me while I'm streaming. And then when I'm done streaming, come cuddle me. Because that's just kind of shitty, It's also one of the things I think about a lot, of being like, yo, I don't have the time for people either. Yeah. Chat, I'm just too busy. Because you know what I'm going to do after this, chat? Once the stream is over, I'm going to go into my closet, which sounds weirder than it is. And I'm going to go, try to record a demo reel. Gonna do some voices. I need to re-record some stuff. I gotta figure out why some electronic interference is happening on my mic. Because, yeah, it's lovely. And then I'm gonna send it off to the demo reel guy. He's gonna edit it tomorrow. I'm glad I just actually hung up close today. Get a spider. They're cute. No, I can't. Yeah, sorry, Chad. I'm not gonna be gay anymore. I can't like guys anymore. I'm not gay. I date women and men, and non-binary, and agendered, and gender fluid, and anybody, actually. Yeah. Well, good morning, Chaos. Oh, good evening, Chaos. I'm gonna say your name again. We're gonna try this again, alrighty? Give me a second. Good morning, Chaotic Bean. How you doing? Welcome. I hope you enjoy your time here. There you go. For those of you who don't know, my name's LuckyJene. I'm a gambler, a writer, and a flirt. I do all those things. Less flirting these days, and less gambling, and not really writing. Huh. Well, I am LuckyJene. That part's still true. Mostly. Filer. A filer. Or a file. Boy failing? I do boy fail a lot. I boy fail boyfriend without dating anybody. Because chat, I can just date you. Chat, you are all my, partner now. Sorry. That's just the way it happens. We'll just date. Parasocial, never heard of her. Organic Bean, how you doing today? You having a good day? Morning, evening, night? Are you finally leaving the basement? No, I'm sorry. You're staying in the basement forever. Okay, Modular. Hi, Gmod Jess, how you doing? Welcome. I mean, probably it's a breach of ethics, TBH. It is a breach of ethics. You should also not date your therapist. Even if your therapist is hot, chat. Even if your therapist is hot, don't date them, okay? Okay? Do not date your therapist. That's how you lose therapy. And you win therapy by making your therapist quit by having too much trauma. It's true. I've seen it happen. You go to your therapist and you're like, hi, therapist. Here's all the horrible things that happened to me. And they're like, oh, that's sad. I don't want to deal with you anymore. And then you win therapy and they give you a new therapist. You move up the difficulty ladder. Eventually, they have to make you the therapist once you run out of them. See, Moxie's winning. Moxie already got assigned as their own therapist. I made 2 therapists quit. Oof. I have not made any therapists quit. My therapist loves me. Probably because I talk the entire time and she doesn't have to say anything. They just sit there and go, mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what that's kind of like? Uh-huh. Yeah. I talk about my problems a lot. Aura, that sounds like you need therapy. Aura, that line specifically that you just said there where you don't give a fuck about life, that sounds like you might need therapy. In fact, chat, if you exist, you probably need therapy. No, too late. Eventually you get Spider-Man. Eventually you get... Did you say eventually you get Spider-Man? You go through enough therapy, then it's just like, yeah, we've run out of actual people. Here's a cardboard cutout of Spider-Man. Go talk to the cardboard cutout of Spider-Man and see what he has to say. With great power comes great responsibility. All right, you got anything else for me? My uncle's dead. Well, great! And then you feel better because your uncle's not dead. And if your uncle is dead, chat, do you know what that means? Do you know what that means, chat? That means you get to be Spider-Man. Ooh, thank you so much for the redeem. I hate you, Vanya. Just kidding, I don't hate you, Vanya. I would never hate you. Character development, yay! Dead family makes you a better character. Just kidding, but you know, the trauma adds flavor. Or comedy. They say that great comedians are really, really depressed. It's true. Comedians, great comedians, totally depressed all the time. Also, apparently have 2 voices in their head. One that they talk to and one of them makes up jokes. So they're like, hey, yo, what's up, comedian? And the comedian's like, hey, yo! I wonder why I'm so funny. Ari, do you need more trauma? Because I got you. I'm kidding. Of course. So they have a rat in their head. It's true, chat. Every comedian is a ratatouille. All the comedians are ratatouilles. Every single one of them. Including me. I have 2 ratatouilles. One of them is the food. The other one is the rat. But he's not a rat. He's a human. He's a human the size of a rat. With rat ears, and a rat body, and a rat tail, and rat feet, and rat appendages, and mouth, and face, and brain. But he's a person. Chad, I go back to sleep. Close your eyes. Anyways. And that's yeah, just sleep. Let's go to sleep. That's the entire plot of How to Sleep Can't Spell Today. Goodness. Real. I feel the urge to lovingly bite people. I feel the love to evilly bite people. I feel the love. Huh. Ah, damn it. Dar, I saw that redeem. Can you feel the love tonight? I'm such a cute little puppy. God damn it, Dar. Really? Really, Dar? Really? Don't clip it. You know what? I'm just gonna do this instead. I'm just gonna... Okay. Still alive. Still alive. Still alive. This time. But you never know, chat. Next time I might not start breathing again. Hello, lovely little alien. You missed Ratshaker. It was terrifying. No, I'm actually gonna hold my breath again. Okay. Huh? What am I doing? I was holding my breath. Well, why not? I've decided no longer to exist and just, you know, be non-existent. Blushy boy? No, I mean, this is the blushing. I mean, hey, hi. Hi. I mean, aren't you cute? If you die, I won't have any more clients. Did I hire you? Wait, how does this work? Did I just, like, acquire you as my lawyer? I'm wearing headphones. Are you wearing headphones? Are you wearing headphones? Oh, hi there, little bunny. How are those headphones feeling right now? I was doing it with you while I was holding my breath a little bit longer than you. Chat. Wait, chat, we're gonna have a breath holding competition. You ready? You have to tell me when you're done, okay? Okay, chat, breath holding competition. Ready? 3, 2, 1. I think I could have possibly done longer, but little alien kept going. I'm proud of you all. Look at how well. No. Eclipse just finished too. Eclipse finished after you. Hello, Monroe. Welcome, fair lady Monroe. How you doing there? Okay. Ooh. That's fair. I mean, to be fair, little alien could probably kick all of our asses because they can do fucking opera singing. And it's insane. It is insane. The opera singing that little alien does is just amazing. And for some reason, they want to sing with me, which I'm still like, buddy, why? My voice isn't that good, like, compared to yours, damn. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do a cover with them. We're doing Phantom of the Opera. I'm a little bit nervous, chat, but don't tell them. There's breath play and date everything. There's breath play and there's what? There's what? There's breath play? Oh my god. That's insane. Oh, don't fuck up your voice. I don't know what you're talking about, little alien. That's crazy. A secret character. A secret character? Who's the secret character you're talking about? Is it maybe a secret? Is it the narrator? What am I talking like this? What am I doing? Oh, gee, if I was, well, we did that bit. We actually did a thing where we were deciding everybody, which was a lot of fun. If you didn't join it, I'm sorry, but it was a lot of fun. I personally, apparently, according to Vonnie, would be a fountain pen. There was a little guy inside of me who talks for me when I do this voice. He's just a little guy. You like my singing? A fountain pen, because I write. I actually really do like writing. Pronounce your T's or I's. Pronounce your T. Wait, what you want? I don't want anything. What the fuck are you on? I don't really like, I kind of like my singing, but redeem idea 5 minutes of Gene unable to be denied a dog. Yes, for 100,000 points. I will continue saying I'm a dog for 100,000 points nonstop. I will be a dog. I will become a dog for 100,000 points. That's why I don't talk to Bonnie. Discs, an unused disc like games. That's lovely. I'm not a wolf either. I'm not an animal. I'm a human. Do you not see my human ears? Do you not see my human ears? Can't you not see these ears that are very human? They are so human and very cool. They are. I am a human. No dog. If I was like a cat or a dog or something, I'd have dog or cat ears or wolf ears or something. But I only have human ears. See? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you want me to get? Like a hairband with like dog ears or something? I could get that, I guess, but kind of cringe. I only have hair on my head. What is this background music? This is atmospherical music. It is. Vonnie, I want you always to type. It's 90s chill lo-fi study music, lo-fi rain chill beats, lo-fi rain playlist, The Japanese Town. If you'd like a link to the playlist, here you go. Open Gundam style. I don't know if you have Oppa in America, but I'm having it for lunch. These fries fuck. The fries. Vanya, please message me. I need you in my life. You are one of my few off-stream friends. Vanya, you mean the absolute fucking world to me. And I would not have meant it through all of my mental shit without you, so you're legally required to message me. Oppa, I don't know how your fries fuck in Canada. That's insane. You should not fuck food. Unless, like, you put, like, plastic over it or something, okay? Yeah, exactly. I will sue Vanya if they don't message me. No, y'all don't know how fucking important Vanya is to me. Sigh, okay. Don't sigh at me. Don't sigh at me. Vigilante. The vigilante lawyer. I provide justice on the streets in court. But without a license, I'm the vigilante lawyer. It's been 2 weeks and I have 22k points. That is fair. That's very fair. I should figure out how to price things differently. I'm a twink. Oh yeah. Yeah, chat. I'm a 6'4" large man of a twink. I couldn't be a twink if I wanted to. It's either chubby muscle boy or chubby boy, and we're going for the muscles. We're going for the what's his name? Laios. We're going for that Laios build. That wielding weapons build. I currently use a 15-pound and a 35-pound hammer. And I'm practicing wielding it so that I can slowly get the body that could smash in a dragon's face. Why? Fuck it. Little alien, that he must hate me. Because I most definitely am not a twink. Chat, I'm sorry. If you wanted a twink and you need a twink boyfriend and that's why you're here, first off, don't go to streamers to date them. It's not going to work out too well. I have no time. I spend 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. I work for 8 hours. I have 3 hours before I go to bed. Outside of eating food and using the bathroom and showering. So, yes, if and second, if you're here for me to be a twink, except being an anime boy, then, well, Sorry. I am attractive, though. I can tell you that much. And the only reason I know I'm attractive is because other people tell me. Proof? That'll cost you money. I'm expecting at least $500 for proof. Oh yeah, no, and the price will go up the more popular I get. Is 5'7" a twink? Twink is not based on your height. Twink is based on your body type. A twink is typically... No, you have to pay me. A twink is typically a slim-bodied person, whether they are tall or not. So you're funny and have a nice voice. Thank you. Oh, you want to talk about gay body types? Fuck it. Chat. So we have bears, which are usually larger, muscular men, also hairy. To be a bear, you do need to be hairy. Then we have the otters, which is something like Benedict Cumberbatch, which is like a twink, but taller and a little bit more of that rounder face. Silver foxes, of course, you can imagine what that is. That is a older man who has that kind of like more, not slender body, but you know, not muscular either. Bara is one, but that's the Japanese one, which is the big muscular boys, but like very big boys. I don't know. I'm here because you're funny. I'm glad you're here, though. I'm glad all of you are here. I'm glad you have all found me. Enjoy your time here, okay? Like, seriously, you are all just so fantastic. And you make my day. You make my life. Oh, really, Monroe? I mean, hey, girly. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch is the ideal otter, not only because he is an otter, because he looks like an otter. Have you seen that man compared to otters? He just physically looks like an otter. I didn't realize it was possible for a man to look that much like an otter. But I do want to do that thing where you draw anime faces. Oh, I'm glad, Moreau. Where you draw anime faces based off animals. Like they say that the normal anime girl is a cat, but if you if you do it with like a bunny or a panda or something, they make these super cute faces. Oh, speaking of chat, speaking of drawing, so I'm not a good artist. I'm not. I've tried. I'm an okay artist. I did go to school for graphic arts initially for like a year, and then I dropped out and went to computer information systems instead. But so I have some basic art skills. But the lovely Pink, Control Pink, has asked me to be on their stream, and they said that they would be up for me to do a drawing stream where they teach me how to draw. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So if you all are interested in seeing that, and you want to see me learn how to draw over time, that might be a thing. Hello, Small Bean. We're getting a lot of beans today. Do I attract beans? What is it about me that looks like I mean, like, hello, Bean. I'm glad to meet you, but this is the second or third bean we've had today. I hear drawing, I follow. Learning how to draw. I don't know how to draw yet. I mean, I can show you all my drawings at some point. I did more like graphic design, so I did a lot of work with like shapes, and I can do some like blind contour drawing. The one thing I did really well, the one thing I can do, which is weird, is I can do chalk pastel. Do y'all know what chalk pastels are? Have y'all ever worked with them? It's like a step. The beans fall around the tall dog. I love the idea of just cute little beans following me. Have you ever done like chalk pastels? Oh, if you want to follow an artist, can we get a shout out for Control Pink? Actually, if I'm gonna do a shout out. Thank you, Control Pink. Control Pink does a lot of my emotes. They're a fantastic, amazing artist. I teach to draw too. Small Bean, do you want to teach me too? Do you want to? Maybe I'll go to like a bunch of artists, and I'll have a bunch of artists teach me how to draw, and that way we can have like a segment. It's like anybody can learn to draw. You just got to meet new people, and they teach you how to draw. I like teaching writing. Sorry, chalk pastel. You love chalk pastel? Really? I have not drawn in chalk in ages, but like I like it because like you can like smear it, and it is like infinitely like redoable. you just like smear it more and you smear it more and you smear it more and you smear it more. Y'all want to see the little like chalk I did? And this is the one thing I ever drew that was good. Okay, like you cannot be like, oh Gene, you're a good artist because you drew this one thing pretty well. No. I got really lucky drawing this one time. I'm gonna double check to make sure my name isn't on it. But we'll see, okay? Because it's also on my Facebook, so we're gonna have to, Pink is singing Goldenrod. Is Pink streaming right now? Hey! Sweet. Okay. This will do. So yes, do not think that I'm a good artist. Oh, chat, I go by Gene IRL, don't get me wrong. But I also like have a legal name that I don't like using. So we're gonna use this instead. We're gonna go whoop, hello. We're gonna put that away. We're gonna do, actually nobody answered me. Do you want to see the art that I did when I was like back in college? You're allowed to say no. If you don't want to see it, you're allowed to say no. Okay. 1 second here while I pull this up. There it is. Ba-da-da-da. That's a little piece I did when I was in college. But yeah, that was the one piece that I did good, and I have not been able to recreate anything good like that ever again. And we were just doing still life, and you can tell like this took 3 hours. this took 3 hours to do. I'm not quick. I'm pretty slow. So it was just a lot of fun. I'm just very like smudgy and very, very, you know. But yes, I've been trying to get into like actual like drawing from your brain and not drawing from IRL and not using tricks and everything else. So yes, I want to learn how to like properly draw from like other artists and experience things and learn stuff. Banana apple, banana apple, banana apple, banana apple. Banana apple doesn't work as well. I don't like banana apple. I like banana pineapple. If you want me to banana, you better banana pineapple. Let's see, do I have anything else that was like at least halfway decent? Let me see. That has my name on it. That is an IRL person. That was just some stupid fucking doodles. Yeah, no, I have nothing else I can show. Banana, pineapple, 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 banana, pineapple. Banana, pineapple, 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 banana, pineapple. There we go. You have the weirdest allergy. I'm so sorry to hear that. Actually, oh god, I want to try to play music. I want to try to learn how to do more music. I am trying to start doing my own music. Here, actually, you know what, chat, you're gonna learn some lore. Today's to learn some Gene lore. So, my dad is a musician. He's been in bands his entire life. It's not his primary job. Like, he does government work. It doesn't matter. But he also has a music studio. He's been recording music his entire life. And, he's done some, like, really cool and fun songs, and I kind of want to show you some of it at some point in time. I do hate that, he's done some things that I'm like, I don't agree with, and he kind of overproduces some of his songs. Like, when he plays guitar and just sings, amazing. And it's a home studio. It's a home studio. Musician dad, yeah. Like he has like this big L-shaped desk, and he has like a Mac that he runs on. He has another Mac, and then he has just like a single rack and a bunch of speakers. And he does a lot of his own music. It's been a little while since he's working on it, but right now he's working on getting back into it. Trying to do, really? That's cool. Thank you for the hydrate. Cheers. He's trying to get back into it and do some more. Right now he just plays for the church, but he wrote one song that I love. 2 songs. 3 songs? He wrote my childhood song. Oh, I forgot about this. Well, little alien, if you ever want to make music together, let me know. I'll get a bass, because I haven't played my bass in a while, and I don't have my bass with me. It's with my dad. Anyways, he wrote a song. He does this for every single... Oh, I'm not good enough to make music on stream, Nix. You, on the other hand, you should do that. Me, ugh. Bye, Monroe. Bye, sweetie. Be a good girl. All right, teach me. Teach me how to make it. I want to learn things, chat. Like, my biggest thing in life is learning. Yeah, of course I play bass. I'm 6'4", and I have German stubby sausage fingers. I play bass. That wasn't a choice. They were like, hello, we see that you are at a music store, and we're like, hey, what instrument do you want to play? And I'm like, I want to play the clarinet. And I played that for a month in elementary school, and I'm like, no, you're going to play the bass guitar. It's like doom 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 doom. You know, classic. Oh, of course, all bass players are hot. I've told you I'm attractive. God, I kind of want you all to see my shitty high school band, but that's gonna dox me. So you're all not allowed to see my shitty high school band. What were we talking about? Right. Oh yeah, Aura and everybody else. I would love to learn things from people. If anybody wants to teach me how to do stuff, like, I fucks with it heavy. We can make a stream out of it. Hey, Hikaru, how you doing? We can make a stream out of it. We can just hang out and do things. I do have a guitar now that I'm wanting to learn, so hopefully I can do that. I love that funk of bass. You gotta slap at the bass. Oh, I do have... Oh, I used to do horseback riding. I'm a big guy. I don't want to hurt horses' back. What was I gonna say? A dancer, archery, and art. I can kind of swing dance. My ex taught me, so I do know how to swing dance a bit. Only Lindy Hop and East Coast style. Fucking teach me how to draw a furry. Let me draw my fursona. That would be sick as fuck. Just be like, yo, Gene, I'm gonna teach you how to exclusively draw furries. And then I'm gonna draw a fursona. That would be such a sick fucking thing to do. Horseback riding, of course. Yeah. I used to teach kids how to ride horsing. I worked at a camp, like a YMCA camp. And, hi, Nix. I worked at a YMCA camp, which I was in the training program for the YMCA camp. So it's funny, I did work for them, but I had to pay them to stay on site. Yeah, and so like what happened was like, we slept, oh God, I gotta tell you all about this. Y'all gonna learn about my Camp YMCA experiences. First off, me and a guy who had the same last name as me, who turned out was into me, by the way. Oh, fuck. Okay, wait. ADD brain. Chat, do you want to learn about the horseback riding at the Camp YMCA camp? Do you want to learn about garage band camp? Or do you want to learn about the guy who wanted to have sex with me? We have 3 options. No, you gotta pick one first. Where do we start? No, pick the third. Okay, the guy who wanted to have sex with me, we're going to start with. Okay, so I had met this guy in high school, because this was high school time. And I was a little emo goth punk kid, because of course I was. I was like Midwest emo. And, like the guy was like the only like really goth guy I knew. We met somebody else later, but we didn't really vibe well. Oh, and he ended up dating my ex-girlfriend. Anyways, me and the guy were like, we did sleepovers and we hung out, and he, for some reason, decided to put adult videos on, which that was interesting. I mean, you know, I normally don't go to sleepovers and watch adult videos. And at some point, he kind of threw himself on me. And my stupid brain was like, he wants to wrestle. And so I ended up throwing him off me, and we wrestled, and then that was about it. And then later on that year, I went to a dance, yeah? And while I was at the dance, he was like, hey, I didn't know you were into men. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry, but you're not my type. Because like, I was trying to like placate him, be like, hey, buddy, it's totally fine. Like I'm not attracted to you. Don't worry about me being like queer. Turns out, no, he was into me. And I didn't realize that he was trying to doink me at the time. Yeah. But anyway, so we were friends, and we went to the Camp YMCA together, and we did a garage band camp. So for like 2 weeks, you pick an instrument, they teach you kind of how to play it, you form a fake band, and you practice a song, and then you do normal camp activities. We did like belaying, so I learned how to do, I learned how to belay. I can tie ropes for people climbing up like mountains and shit. And it was like a leadership course or something. And we like swam, we had date things. I briefly dated this, what was her name? I don't know, she was some weird religion, the fish religion. Pescatarian or something, and that ended awkwardly. And then we did it. We at the end of the 2 weeks, we had a performance, and everybody could come and hang out and like watch the show. And again, this is one of me being like idiots. The girls worked on my hair. Like they wanted me to hang out with them before the show. They were like super excited about the show. And then I came on with a wig and they're all like pissed off I wore a wig, so I tore it off because they had done my hair up. Yeah, all those girls were into me apparently. And it took me like years later being like, oh, right, huh. I mean, I guess it makes sense because they all gave me my phone number at the end of it. And they're all like, "Hey, do you want my phone number?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. We'll call. We'll be friends." I'm an idiot. I'm a flirt, and that's why normally I pursue somebody because it makes it a lot easier for me to figure things out. But I don't tend to see things in other people. I just I am like, "Hey, I'm interested in you," and I just track them down and I date them. But also so we did the 2 weeks of oh yeah, no, I don't even realize at the time when I'm flirting. I just constantly no, I don't follow them. I meant hi, I'm into you. I'm gonna call this person. I'm gonna like hit on them. I'm gonna be very obvious with it. Hi, do you want to date me? Yeah, sweet. It doesn't really take a lot. I normally have straight up ask for people dates. I don't do friendships a lot because I feel like I'm too silly goofy around people. Oh, have fun, little alien. Mwah. Have fun. I normally can't do friendships and date people because in my brain it's oh, you're a friend. I can be silly, goofy, and crazy and excited with you. Or it's hi, you're very attractive. Would you like to maybe go see a movie or something? I'm suffering. Don't suffer. Because I have very compartmentalized brain so that once people are in a certain category, I can't leave them. Even when I have romantic interest in a person and the romantic interest ends, and they are just my friend, I still view them in the romantic interest category, and so I act about them in a certain way. Hi. But yes, okay, so 2 weeks we did Garage Band Camp, and then we did 2 more weeks of what was called Wrangler in Training. And so for Wrangler, actually no, I think that was the next summer. We did a horseback riding camp, and then we did Wrangler in Training. And for Wrangler in Training, it's a cheaper cost for the camp because you still get all the camp food, and you got to go to the campfire, and you got to do all the little events. Hello, Nix, welcome. Oh, 9 ads, I'm so sorry. But so for Wrangler in Training, we slept in the worst fucking cabins. And now I want to break this down to you because holy shit, the cabins in this place were capitalism. And they're all determined based on your age. So you had this quad with 9-10 cabins that were basically plywood squares that they erected around this field. And they had no air conditioning, they had a screen door, and they were awful. So you'd get mosquitoes, bugs, and all sorts of stuff. They smelled bad, heating was awful, middle of the summer, it was the worst. And so the kids went in those. We put them in the worst accommodations because of course we did. Then you had the nicer cabins that had that were for special events because they would also do hire out this place. And so they had, if you were in the small cabins, you had to go to the all the way to the group showers. And the group showers were run on a single pipe going all the way down. So if anybody took a shower before the pipe, you got less water pressure. So again, awful. Heat of the water disappears. Then you had the nicer cabins that were this is for kind of special events, and they had bunk beds in them that were really kind of shitty bunk beds. But they did have their own showers in unit. No AC though. And then you had the special event cabins, and the special event cabins had AC. They had these really nice bunk beds that were all like perfectly done. They had like a little like quad area where you could like sit at a picnic table. And then you had another thing where you could go in and like you had your own private showers, and that was gorgeous. The shower pressure was amazing. Well, that's where we were for like the horse camp, when we did the horse camp. When I did Wranglers in training, they moved you to the tents, which aren't tents. No, not traditional tents. They are a wood platform, and then a thick canvas tarp that is cut out in the shape of a tent. It's a thick canvas. Welcome back, Nix. It's a thick canvas tarp cut out in the shape of a tent, and inside are metal fucking bunk bed racks, and it's just open. It is open all the time. The back flap is open, the front flap is open, so you really have no cover, no heating, no nothing. You're just out there. I'm talking about the tents that we had to stay in when I did the Wrangler training program. And so not only were you in these shitty tents, you also had to go doing the shared fucking showers. And I had to wake up every day at 3 a.m. to go up to where the horses were, to bring the horses in, clean them, bring out the saddle blankets, bring out the saddles, bring out all their stuff, tie them up in their stalls, and then I'd wait for the kids to arrive. And we had to teach the kids how to put on saddle blankets, how to put on saddles, how to put the bit in the horse's mouth, how to tie all the knots, and then we take them through their trainings. We'd either do barrel racing, we do a little like form, like wonking in circle practice, we would do trail rides, a lot of things. And yeah, it's fun because a lot of these horses are horses that are like given up. Yeah, like some of them are older, some of them are temperamental, some of them are done as just like little donations. Enjoy your nap. One of them, like my favorite horse, was a horse named Sage. And it had this unique feature that it was trained to respond to pressures on its side. So you could push in with the right, it'd move left. You push in the left, and it'd move right. Squeeze in, it would stop moving, and if you did did more movements, it would respond to it. But if you did the classic, like the little click in, kick in to make it go faster, it would buck. So I would always try to ride Sage because, it took a little bit more knowledge on how to ride Sage, and you had to know what Sage was going to do. And the kids would not know, and they'd be like, oh yeah, and try to make the horse move faster, and then the horse would kick or would buck. And then the kid would get flung off and would almost get hurt, so you don't have them ride that horse. And we had one girl who came. We had one girl who was afraid of horses. Now she was your classic like little princess little girly, okay? Like the one who's like, oh my god, I like princesses, I like ponies, I like unicorns, I like the whole fucking shebang. But she was afraid of horses. She loved horses. She wanted to ride horses so badly, and she told her parents, I need to ride horses. So the parents sent us the child. Remind you, this is like 15, 16-year-olds. And she approaches these horses and was always terrified. Do you know something about horses and just animals in general that they can kind of? No, she was like a suburban girl. And that's why I think they were at this place instead of a training place. It was not too expensive to go to horse camp compared to the other stuff. That's why I think it was she'd probably never seen a horse in reality before, and she'd only heard of them. So horses and animals are sensitive to your emotions, and if you're clearly panicked, they're gonna be clearly panicked. Well, one day we were on a trail ride, and the trail rides are super simple. The kids are on a horse, and the horse looks at the other horse, and the horse follows the other horse's ass, right? And it's easy. It's so simple. The WITs, the Wranglers in training, would ride up and down the lines, and it was usually led by a more trained professional wrangler. There would be one wrangler, 3 wranglers in trainings, and then a bunch of kids. Me, I was goofing off, as I do. I was mooing at the cows because there was cows. The horse also neighed at the cows, which was adorable, and we were just we'd walk up and down, we would check everything, we'd go off a little bit and then come back, and suddenly you hear silence. It was quiet. All the horses had stopped moving, And then out of nowhere, you hear this loud neigh. And you hear this child scream as the horse takes the fuck off. I don't know if she'd been like freaking out or what she'd been doing, but like she did something. And the horse took a turn and fucking flew, and it went full speed off in a direction. And I got to watch the wrangler be like, hey, Jean, watch the kids. And then she chases down this horse and this screaming child. And luckily, she's able to kind of like reach out, grab onto the reins, pull it back, calm down the horse, calm down the girl, take the girl off of the horse, and like, you know, like take the kid back. But like it was dangerous because horses are tall, kids are small. It does not take a lot for them to fall off and snap their neck. But yeah, it happens. She just got lucky. I think she just like grabbed on for dear life. And there's another thing that they do here. You'll see this at like a lot of places where like they train like little kids how to ride horses. They remove like one of the stirrups. Because, like, if the horse were to freak out, there's a good chance that, like, a child's leg would get stuck in the stirrup and would pull them. Because we'd rather have the kid fall off the horse than be pulled by the horse. And so, like, I think she just got really lucky that she held on. Because if not, she would just fallen. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the kids are really good, and the horses are really well trained. I mean, they're used to kids, so like there was not much of an issue. Okay, chat. Well. We've kind of come up to like I think an end of stream here, actually. What time is it? Oh yeah, we've been going on for an extra like half an hour. Technically, we've gone an hour and a half over stream time, but you know, I'm not gonna be too particular. Remember, chat. Make sure that you choose a horse that is the right weight for you. Because if you're too heavy, it can damage a horse's back. I just say that because, like, you know, people are like, oh my god, horses are so big. It's like, yeah, but it's consistent weight on a spine. Oh, Nix, I'm sorry, Nix. But I will be back. If you do exclamation point Discord, you can go join the Discord. And I'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. MST. Horse camp's a lot of fun. And there's adult horse camps too. There's adult horse camps, there's adult band camps. There's a lot of adult camps that you can actually take. They're a little bit more expensive, but you know, they're cool. So yeah, tomorrow, 6 a.m. I'll be here. And then I'll be back at like either 4 or 5 p.m. I'll also be showing up on Felina's stream, where we're going to be doing some additional stuff. Okay, now we gotta find some way to raid out to. Okay, lovely peoples. Let's see who we can raid out to. Keeper of Fate's doing Amnesia. Ah, shit. Okay, Keeper of Fate's doing Amnesia. Goblin Fia's doing Slasher Summer Camp. Lulu Lupo is doing FNAF. A Plot Twist is doing Just Chatting. There's a lot of people, though. I don't like raiding into collabs. Wild Spice. Final Fantasy. Flopsy is doing Elden Ring, but they're also doing a lot of people. Papa Yokai is doing Just Chatting. Do y'all have a preference of what you all want to see? Is there anything that y'all want to watch? FNAF. We'll do FNAF. Y'all can raid into. We'll raid into Lulu Lupo. He seems cool. I like his model. All right, everybody. You all be good. I love you all so very much. You all behave yourselves. We're gonna do a little raid message here. We're gonna do a lucky raid. Stick around. Just drop the raid message at least. Say hi for me. Behave yourself. Be good. Be good. Be good. And I will see you all later. Okay. Bye-bye for now. Mwah. 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 Mwah.